Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Call It Out Conclave, a part of Network 18 and Truecaller's campaign, Call It Out Because It's Not Okay. Call It Out is a movement, a journey that Network 18 and Truecaller have embarked upon to awaken and empower women to wage a war against harassment and encourage them to call it out by providing them with information and action-oriented responses. Women in India face harassment on a regular basis, yet they remain silent and refrain to take action against it. The numbers are staggering. We are talking about 1 out of 3 women who receives sexual and offensive calls or SMS, 10% of working women who face harassment at the workplace, 50 to 70% of women who have faced some or the other form of domestic violence at least once in their lifetime. And not to forget the countless number of women who have been affected by the shadow pandemic of online harassment. You will be surprised to know a majority of women aren't even aware of the recourse available to them to fight harassment. And that is one of the cornerstones of our campaign, and to spread awareness about the means to fight harassment. Through our Call It Out campaign, we aim to create an ecosystem together with policymakers, law enforcers, mental health experts, and social organizations, which will help spread awareness and enable women to report harassment. It is a comprehensive approach to prevent and respond to harassment, build safe and empowering spaces for women, and above all, Call It Out is an effort to put an end to harassment that women face every single day. We now have a short film which captures what Network 18 and Truecaller are striving to achieve through our campaign, Call It Out Because It's Not Okay.
Harassment is a grim reality that impacts a large majority of women in India today. And with the digital age, new forms of harassment are cropping up each day, affecting the mental well-being of women. As a nation, we need to come together to put an end to this. And that's what Call It Out Because It's Not Okay, an initiative by Network 18 and Truecaller, aims to do. With this initiative, we are encouraging women to not just stop blocking, but to speak up and call out harassment cases by reporting it to the right authorities.
I just got this message from a random person. I blocked it though.
I'll just be there, yeah?
While this is a long and tough battle to fight, our vision is to bring a change in the way India deals with harassment, to educate women of the resources available for them to report harassment, and to get our message loud and clear that it's not okay for anyone to harass anybody. We launched the Call It Out Because It's Not Okay initiative this International Women's Day to drive home the message that women need to be celebrated, respected, and above all, made to feel safe every single day. Our Streamathon witnessed the convergence of policymakers, law enforcers, activists, mental health experts, women's organizations, and influencers as they discussed ways to combat harassment against women. We used our social media presence to take the fight against harassment to a larger audience, making it a people's movement.
Ensuring women's safety and every individual's safety should be a priority for everyone.
It's not okay for anyone to ignore harassment. Don't just block, call it out.
Taking the cause to many more stakeholders, we hosted discussions with influential voices from different parts of the country, with the aim to encourage and empower women to report offences fearlessly, knowing that their complaints have the power to mobilize change. We are collaborating with many public figures to inspire women to raise their voice against harassment, to call it out because it's not okay.
Call it out because it's not okay.
We are striving to create safe and empowering spaces for women to develop, implement and evaluate comprehensive approaches to prevent and respond to harassment against women. Over the span of the next few months, we will drive advocacy on the True Cyber Safe curriculum, an awareness program that focuses upon improving netizens' resilience and capacity to access the digital world safely, increase awareness on cyber frauds and its impact in communities. Our public awareness initiative, to call it out because it's not okay, is being amplified through our broadcast, digital and publication platforms to bring about a mindset change and to emphasize that the fight against harassment has to be a collaborative effort where all the key stakeholders, including men, stand shoulder to shoulder with women to fight back.
It's Not Okay was launched as a step further to let women know that we understand these issues and stand in support.
Network18 and Truecaller, along with the Delhi Police as a partner, have embarked upon this visionary campaign with the understanding that for the world to change, we must change as well. We believe that together we will be able to empower women to tackle harassment, to report harassment and to say in unison,
प्लीज आप लोग आवाज उठाइए और स्ट्रांगली फाइट कीजिए.
call it out because it's not okay.
Indeed, the fight against harassment has to be a collaborative effort, and the Call It Out campaign has garnered support from key stakeholders, including policymakers, law enforcement agencies, and civil society at large. And lending her voice in support of the campaign, we now have the Honorable Minister for Women and Child Development, Smriti Irani, who has always been at the front line in the fight against women harassment.
नमस्कार. इस देश में संविधान भारत का हर महिला को यह अधिकार देता है कि वो अपने जीवन के निर्णय खुद ले, कि वो स्वतंत्र हिंदुस्तान में सर उठाकर जिए. लेकिन इट्स नॉट ओके कि महिला को प्रताड़ित किया जाए. इट इज़ नॉट ओके कि सोशल मीडिया साइट्स पर उसे अपमानित किया जाए. इट इज़ नॉट ओके कि राह चलते एक लड़की को, एक महिला को छेड़ा जाए. इट इज़ नॉट ओके कि महिला को उपहास का या फिर एक सेक्सुअल ऑब्जेक्ट बनाकर समाज में उसकी चर्चा की जाए. इट इज़ नॉट ओके टू हरास विमेन. आज मैं चैनल के माध्यम से अपील करती हूँ हर हिंदुस्तानी को कि अगर महिला प्रताड़ित हो रही हो, अगर महिला को संरक्षण की दरकार हो, अगर महिला को सहयोग की ज़रूरत हो, तो कृपया 181 पर सरकार से, प्रशासन से संपर्क करें. इट इज़ नॉट ओके टू हरास विमेन. ये संदेश हर घर, हर समाज तक पहुँचाएं.
And that was the Honorable Minister's powerful message opening this conclave. Technology is ever evolving. In an increasingly connected world, there is a growing threat of cyber attacks, cyber crimes, and online harassment for women. What are the steps being taken by the government to reassure women that they are safe online? To discuss this and more, I'd like to invite on stage Senior Political Editor of CNN News 18, Maria Shakil, and Mr. Rajiv Chandrasekhar, Honorable Minister of State for Electronics and IT and Minister of State for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Let's now talk about technology and women's safety.
Hello, everyone. Yes, that is the introduction of the Honorable Minister with us. But he is also a technocrat and an entrepreneur, someone who founded BPL Mobile, one of the major telecom companies in India, and also the founder of Jupiter Capital. Mr. Chandrasekhar has investments and has managed assets in technology, media, hospitality, and entertainment. I'm going to begin with the opening comments, and before I go and get the larger perspective around the campaign that we have, Mr. Chandrasekhar, India is emerging as a large internet economy. It is expected to reach a staggering $1 trillion by 2030. This is as per the report that has been published by consulting firm Redseer. What are the opportunities and challenges before us?
So Maria, thank you for having me over this evening, and thank you for having this conversation about safety online. I think it's a very important conversation to be had, and I hope this conversation continues, and today is not the first and last day on it. Look, first of all, let me just correct that. 1 trillion, the digital economy of 1 trillion will be by 2026.
Yes.
So that consulting firm...
2030.
So that consulting firm
said.
needs to redo the numbers. We think we will get there by 2026, and we have a roadmap for it. I just wanted to make that point clear before I get into anything else. I think we should recognize that India has, over the last 5 to 7 years, digitized rapidly. And currently we have around 80+ crore Indians who are online. And just in another 24 months, or maybe at the most 30 months, we will take that number of 80 crore Indians to about 120 crore Indians, which means that almost every man, woman, and child in India, young, old, are going to be online, and they would be using the internet for education, health, their daily lives, work, all of that. And so therefore it takes on an even more urgent imperative that this cyberspace that is so empowering and is so good, and it's creating opportunity every day for people in different types of opportunities, that cyberspace also be safe and trusted for all of those who use it. So I think in that sense, this conversation and this focus on safety and trust on the internet is as important as the power to empower that the internet represents.
Yes, so in that case, how can user harm be minimized? In the sense we are talking about the online harassment that women suffer, and what role will technology play?
So, look, again, this could be a 5-hour conversation, but I think you're pressing the right buttons, because just like I said, I think for many, many years, the internet represented all things positive about technology. We've heard differing narratives that it is disrupting business models, it's empowering individuals, it is creating the power to bridge gaps between markets and producers for small businesses. And so the narrative has always been about the positivity of the internet. But clearly over the last 5 to 7 years, there has been this phenomenon of user harm and the negative forces that are also on the internet. They range from cybersecurity and cyber incidents on one hand, to what you call doxing, gaslighting, and just poor behavior and bad behavior and really targeted behavior on the other hand. And somewhere in between is financial frauds and all of the other things that are in between crimes and just bad conduct. So all of this is proliferating, and clearly this is almost growing at a rate at which the internet is growing. So if you asked me 5 years ago, if you had had a seminar like this and you had had a group of people come together and talk about user harm, most people would have looked at you and said, what is that? If you remember in February 2021, when we came out with the intermediary rules, and the intermediary rules are the first salvo to try and create safety and trust around the internet, the instinctive reaction from a large number of people was, no, you're infringing on free speech. You're policing the internet. You're creating restrictions on the openness of the internet. And frankly, we have to, before we talk about tools and technologies, we have to move away from the binary that openness and rules on the internet are not binaries. That you can have an open internet, but you can also aspire for the internet to be safe and trusted and accountable. And that is why if you see the government, when the government speaks about the policy, its policy positions on the internet, it says, we would like to, we want to, and all of our policies are directed at ensuring that the internet in India is always open, i.e. free from any monopoly or powers, and B, it is safe and trusted, and C, that the intermediary user relationship is always one of accountability. So those are the principal issues that we have laid down. We have done the IT rules. And you will see as we go forward, as there is more and more consensus that the internet needs to be safe and trusted as a space for the users, there will be more action from the government.
Yes, Mr. Chandrasekhar, since you talked about the intermediary rules, and it did face a lot of objections and protests from several quarters, talking specifically about the policy area and the legislative route that the government is planning to take, how do you ensure that various stakeholders come on board to ensure that women at large feel safe online?
So the first, let me just tell you our approach, and I'm happy to take criticism if you think it's not, if it's not a perfect approach. Our basic approach is to say we will outline what is our objective, what are the desired outcomes of our rulemaking or our legislative process. We would like the internet to be always open. And I mean open in a very, very important sense that it is not dominated by big platforms. It is not controlled by any state. It is not controlled by mega pipes that control access to the internet. So whether you call it net neutrality, whether we call it non-splinter net, whether we call it an open internet, we want all of that about the internet, that the very basic DNA of the internet that I, in the late 80s, and many others worked on creating, and that's how old I am, just to make that point. So that remains. Then we want the safety and trust aspect of it, because look, Maria, there are today 14-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 18-year-olds that use the internet for online education. There are women and men, pensioners from as far away as Jharkhand or the north of India or distant parts of India that use the internet to connect to government and governance and other public services. They are not sophisticated people who understand firewalls and antivirus software and all of that. So we need to make sure that each of those Indians are accessing the internet with a broad assurance that that space that they are using for their daily lives is safe and trusted. Now for that, we have started with rules. I think we will progress as we go down the road with a new legislative architecture and framework that may include a new law, that may include new rules, that may include a broader data governance framework on how people use data, how people farm data, how people harvest it, etc., etc. So there is, if you understand where the legal architecture is today, we are operating with an IT Act that was enacted in 2000. And 2000 is 22 years old, and in the internet age, that is like 4.5 centuries or 5 centuries. So it is clear, I think, to every observer of the technology space that we need new contemporary laws and rules. The personal data protection law is one element of that is being worked on, as you know. So these things will start falling into place as there is broader and broader consensus amongst Indians and citizens that the internet ought to be a safe place for them to
okay, so when you talk about this culture of rules-based accountability of users in cyberspace, what will it really entail?
I think it starts with the basic understanding for all platforms and intermediaries who are on the internet that the conventional understanding that cyberspace is a space where no laws apply, and that you can sit in, let's say, place X and commit some user harm in place Y. And the jurisdictional confusion will make sure that you can evade that. Now, for example, the context of doxing women or gaslighting women or harming women online. Many, many cases are reported where the jurisdiction of the crime, the criminal, or the person who's perpetrating the harm is a different jurisdiction from the jurisdiction of the victim. And invariably, conventional laws fail to bridge that gap across jurisdictions. That is why the new approach to lawmaking and rulemaking is not just laws and rules that address one geography and our jurisdiction of India, but also having tools where we cooperate with countries in our region so that if the perpetrator is in, let's say, I'm just giving an example. Let's say the perpetrator is in, of all places, Thailand. I just pick that name. And the victim is in Mumbai. That even then, we should be able to make sure that the deterrence impact of the law, make sure that that is not repeated again. Because at the end of the day, I believe, and this is, look, I'm not some great legal expert, that the laws have to be operative and laws have to be operational, because it is only deterrence that can alter behavior. And this is all about altering online behavior, altering online conduct. And currently, I would argue that it is almost a default assumption by a lot of people online that there are no consequences to my conduct. So I dox somebody, I gaslight somebody, I troll somebody, I fake news somebody. There are no consequences because I hide behind an anonymous ID, and the intermediary or the platform is not obliged to identify me. That has to change. That consequences exist for bad criminal action online has to become the default norm rather than the exception.
And because this is our campaign, it's not okay, and so call it out. We are focusing on women harassment. We are focusing on how it is important not only to block if you get harassed because of online harassment, it is important to call it out and also report as the next step. What are the resources or options available?
So what I think, I completely, it's not okay, and I'll say that 10 times is a good campaign to run. It's a good campaign, and I hope you will continue to do this. If women are today harassed online, there is a way that they ought to respond. The first thing is they should not ignore it. And they shouldn't start believing that there is no option but to either just block them or ignore it. You can report that incident to the cyber police in the state where you are residing, and or do it to the platform where you got this incident. Because under the IT rules, intermediaries, and this is, by the way, one of the things that the government is very keen on doing, the intermediaries and the platforms must take more and more responsibility to making the internet safe. So if I'm using Facebook just as an example, don't misunderstand. But let's say I'm on Facebook and I do something completely atrocious to somebody on Facebook. I expect Facebook to not just help in identifying that person if the victim reports it, but also to take penal legal action against that person because it violates certain XYZ laws. So intermediaries, number one, I believe anybody who's a victim of this must report it to the grievance officer of the platform. That is why we did those IT rules. That is why we created this grievance officer structure. The second is, we expect the intermediaries to do a lot more about responding to those kinds of reports. And we will hold them accountable. That is why we have monthly reporting by these platforms. And increasingly, the platforms will see that these reports will result in how we view these intermediaries. Currently, they have safe haven under the law. We will start treating them as publishers if they misbehave or do not behave appropriately when there are reported crimes. And down the road, I believe that we will create further reporting structures that will make it easier, not just for reporting, but easier to identify those who are committing these crimes and prosecuting them if they are violating law.
My last question to you, you are a lawmaker, and that's where perhaps the biggest stakeholder in the entire effort to make the space safer for women. What do you see will be the role of various other stakeholders?
Look, everything about the internet is about public consultation and multi-stakeholder consultation. Everything that we do in the government is about consulting stakeholders. I think as we lay out that it is our policy imperative and policy objective and policy priority, and it is an article of faith for us, that we want to, and we will make the internet safe and trusted, a place for women and indeed everybody who is using the internet. We will seek out people's participation in terms of what their ideas are, how they want to feel safer, what are the institutional mechanisms, what are the legal mechanisms that they think should be incorporated in law or indeed in the rules. But you can rest assured, your viewers can rest assured that we will do this with absolute consultation. We will take the beneficiaries of these laws and these rules, that is the people of India, as being the principal stakeholders of whatever architecture we build to make the internet safe and trusted.
But is there some kind of timeline that the government is looking at?
I hesitate in giving opportunities for headlines when I come to these kind of meets, but I can assure you that our approach to this is very urgent. We know that we are going to go from 800 million Indians online to 1.2 billion Indians very, very quickly. We would like the institutional and legal framework for a safe and trusted internet and an open internet and an accountable internet to be in place before we reach those numbers.
And since we are looking at a digital revolution, women have to feel safe in that new space as well.
I am a Minister of State in a segment, technology space, where 44% of the participants are women. So I think I'll be sacked by my principal stakeholders, the women stakeholders of the tech space, if I don't make it safe for them. And this is, by the way, this is for our Prime Minister and our government. It is an article of faith that the internet must be safe. And must be safe not just for the techies and the sophisticated users of the internet, but for the regular Indian citizen, woman, man, child, who are going to really be empowered by this internet, and the distance between government and them, the distance between opportunity and them get bridged by the internet. We want that to happen. We want the magic of the internet to work for them. And we know that the magic of the internet will work for the women if we can make it a safe place, and if they can work there, they can succeed there, they can prosper there without fear of being targeted by criminals or those who behave badly.
Yes, and you rightly said that there are these people revel in being not known. And that is the reason why this kind of harassment is continuing. Which are the major platforms which have been approached repeatedly by the government to ensure that that space is safer for women?
Look, I think this anonymity issue online has been for several years, in a sense, mixed up with privacy. And I think we are moving now to a regime where anonymity cannot survive in the face of a crime. So we have in the rules, as you know, there's a clause called the first originator. There's a rule there that says that if a crime is conducted on a platform or criminality is detected on the platform as confirmed by a court of law, then the intermediary will have to reveal the first originator of that criminal activity. That matter, of course, has been contested by WhatsApp, and they are in court. But we are very, very clear in our mind. The cyberspace cannot be and will not be a place where the law does not reach. Currently, the way it is, some people have begun to misunderstand or live in the belief and delusion that the cyberspace is one place where they can live anonymously, commit crimes anonymously, and therefore the long arm of the law that will not reach them. And it is our endeavor to make sure that that delusion is shattered.
Let me give you the final words, your final thoughts on this campaign.
No, look, I'm deeply grateful that you are drawing attention to this issue of online safety. It is an important area, I believe, as we grow the internet and grow the technology and digital economy. And the more the people that are involved in this, the better the government's responses and policies will be. So I'm thankful to you to do this and for doing this, and I invite and encourage every one of your viewers and those who are here to be participants and to contribute to government's objectives of creating a safe and trusted space on the internet for all Indians, especially women.
Thank you so much for your time here, Mr. Rajiv Chandrasekhar.
Thank you, Mr. Chandrasekhar. And before we move on, it is our honor to have amidst us the Swedish ambassador to India, Klaus Molin. A warm welcome to you, sir. Let me now tell you something about a very special project called Kraftsamla. The Prime Minister of Sweden and the Prime Minister of India have agreed to encourage joint efforts towards women's empowerment by skilling employment and entrepreneurship opportunities for women through projects such as Kraftsamla. Kraftsamla in Swedish means to harness our energies, is that correct? To harness the energies and to gather our forces together. The Embassy of Sweden is a patron of this program, and who best than you, sir, to tell us a little about the program.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and let me echo the final words from the first segment of the Minister in very much welcoming the campaign and congratulate Truecaller and Network18 for something that is so important and obviously already on its way of becoming a great success. I'm very happy, very proud to be here tonight. And you didn't tell me how long I could speak, by the way. So I'll just give a quick background to the Kraftsamla project, but also say that it is but one, a very important one, that we try to do from both, well, let me say Team Sweden. And the embassy, of course, is, we feel, a very important part of it. But it is something that is ringing very true for many of the Swedish companies, I would say all, in the Swedish Chamber, Swedish Indian Chamber of Commerce. And Kraftsamla began as a fairly modest program in skilling in a few companies that traditionally are based in Maharashtra and in Karnataka, in Pune, in Bangalore, in many other places, but that's where the manufacturing companies have been based. So we started by taking in a consultant from the UN. I'm happy to see that UN Women is here tonight, by the way, a UN consultant, to look at what was being done internationally. How could we do it here? How could we also encourage more employment, safety in the workplace, getting to and from work, and also skilling women for women non-traditional jobs. So the first batches were forklift drivers, actually. And many companies have taken up just to make a point, but also to increase opportunities and new jobs and non-traditional ones at that. All the companies are involved in this. It's moved on. The latest campaign is a gender sensitization project. There have been 5 working groups. We just graduated the first class, if you will, last week, with upwards of 50 graduates. I think 20 odd companies, 25 companies, and 30 were present, graduates. We presented them with a diploma. They've been going through, for the better part of 6 months, been going through a training program with some specialists in awareness, really. You know, the everyday pitfalls that we fall into, gender roles, micro harassment, and also things that in the workplace should not be there, should never have been there, but certainly shouldn't be there in 2022. And we're very happy that Kraftsamla continues to garner a lot of interest, and the companies, the chamber, and of course Team Sweden as such is very happy to be part of it, to sponsor it. I saw we were patrons, we're also matrons of this program, and thank you for the opportunity. I think I better stop here.
Thank you
and good
so
luck.
much. Thank you so much, Mr. Moline. More power to Kraftsamla. Moving on, technology plays a significant role in making communication faster and easier. But can technology also make communication safer? To moderate the next discussion, making communication safer, I'd like to invite on stage our very own Shireen Ban, editor of CNBC TV18. And over to you, Shireen, for inviting our special guests.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us here this evening. This is a thought-provoking session that we've been going through for the past hour or so, and I intend to take the conversation forward here. I have a very special guest here with me, the co-founder and the CEO of Truecaller, Alan Mamadi. Alan, may I request you to please join us here on stage? So we are here to talk about how we can make the internet, how we can make platforms a lot safer for women particularly. And I will get into all of those issues in just a second, Alan. But I want to bring up one of your quotes from a couple of years ago where you said that as humans, we're always uncertain of the unknown. It could be a different nationality, a different skin color, or even name that you're not familiar with. We're hesitant to put our trust in the unknown. How much of this, of trying to know the unknown, of trying to familiarize yourself with the unfamiliar, of trying to find comfort in the unknown, has driven the vision for you at Truecaller?
Thank you. Yeah, I actually recognize that quote. No, but look, I think the unknown is something that always gets us excited. We want to, you know, open the box and see what's in there. And just listening today now to the minister about, you know, certain areas about the cyber crime, and it just gives me a lot of ideas on things we can do to just make the reporting even easier. And our CPO and MD, Rishit, is here as well. I'm going to talk with him later on about.
So is there going to be a meeting tonight?
Yeah, of course. So I think there's so much we can do. And we have the platform and the reach to create these tools to make communication safer. And these are unknowns, you know, and I think that's always what drives us. Just wanted to say one thing, which is on a very different topic, on what Claus said. It just reminded me. So my mother actually worked as a forklift driver for 15 years. So it's cool that you brought it here. And then when she turned 50, she decided to go back to school and become a dentist, but yeah.
Wow, that is a fascinating story, and the way that you founded the company along with your co-founder is also a fascinating story, which goes all the way back to 2009. And congratulations on listing on the Nasdaq in Stockholm. But you know, there are several complex issues involved here, so let's try and unpack them one by one. And let's start by talking about the Indian market, because that's a very strategically important market for you. It's not just your largest market; it's also the market that has the most number of employees for Truecaller. So let's address the India market and why it's so unique and why it's so special to you.
Well, it just became obvious to us that India is such an exciting market, so many people coming online, and we were excited about the opportunities and being a part of that growth curve, honestly. And when we started to learn more about the culture, we also realized that there's a lot of similarities with the culture where my parents came from, which was the Kurdish part of Iran. Many similarities in the language as well. So, you know, we just felt this connection a lot. So now that India has become such an important, you know, part of the world, it makes a lot of sense for us to focus even further, and it makes sense for us to have the largest part of our organization based here as well. And I'm looking forward to continue that investment.
Well, we look forward to you continuing that investment here in India, but linked to your story and your growth story, particularly in India, is the regulatory framework. We just heard from the minister here, it's still not done. It continues to be a work in progress. In fact, you've been a key stakeholder. You've given your feedback to the government on what the new data protection and privacy bill should look like. You were part of the JPC's proceedings, the Joint Parliamentary Committee proceedings. You were there in last November of 2020 to present your hypotheses for what the bill should look like. How different is India today? Because, you know, the EU has the GDPR, and some would say that that perhaps goes too far on issues like privacy, and India perhaps has too little. So does that complicate things for you as a company?
Well, I think, you know, because we started a company in Stockholm, Sweden, which has the strictest rules around privacy, and always been like that. But at the same time, we want to keep an open society and make information accessible. We apply this philosophy of always prioritizing consumers first. And that's been the case since we started the company. Like, as an example, you've always been able to unlist your phone number very easy on Truecaller, because we want to give that opportunity to anyone. and so Truecaller as a product stands for trust and safety, which means we always have to think about the things we're building that they actually benefit our customers and our users of the platform. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I think we're doing a lot of things that other companies are not doing that I think they should be doing.
Okay, so, like what?
No, but for example, you can download all your information. You can rectify your user information from Truecaller. You can delete all your data. We have all Indian data processed and stored in India. And these are the things that I think every company should work with and give those options to the users so that they know what data is actually this company collecting about me. And we've had this for years. And I think for that reason, I think the bill that the government is working on, I think it's good. I think they should think about data in the cloud, cyber safety, and so forth. We think it's good. Now, because we are a Stockholm-based company, we also went through GDPR. And we wanted to share some of the learnings from that, because there were good things, but there were also bad things, in the sense that it harmed growth for many companies. Smaller companies that did not have the financials to hire expensive law firms to make sure they're not just breaking the law, And I think the government is taking these learnings into action here, which I think is really, really good. I've read the bill a couple of times, and I think I think they're covering some very, very good areas. So I'm not sure I agree that it's lacking things that some people might think. So in general, I'm positive to the bill, and I'm confident that the government is also keeping in mind that they don't harm the growth of startups. And I think that's important.
Yes, so balancing the need for privacy and ensuring that there is privacy, but without killing entrepreneurship. And that is a delicate balance that hopefully the government will be able to maneuver as and when the bill is finally ready. But Alan, there are many concerns around issues like consent. There are issues around data mining. There are issues around data monetization. Now, I don't know how many people here in this audience are familiar with what Truecaller does or doesn't do, but this is the opportunity to give us a sense of what really is happening in the back room, and more importantly, in light of the experiences that you've had over the last 13 years, where do you believe there is need for further course correction, review, or change?
Yeah, I'm not sure I need to introduce Truecaller, at least not in this country. But we stand for making communication.
No, not Truecaller, but I'm saying, what happens as far as data monetization, data mining, etc. concerned, because there are all kinds of notions about that, not just linked to Truecaller, but other platforms as well.
Look, I think transparency is the most important word here. We've always been transparent of what data we collect, always ask the user, and always have an opt-in, and also give them an opportunity to opt out. And I think that's something that every company and technology company should add to their product. And I think that's where things are missing out, that you install an app, but you don't really know what's happening in the background. And sure, there are misconceptions about what Truecaller does. Many people think that Truecaller steals your contacts, which is not the case. And if you use our product, if you install it, you will see exactly step by step what's happening and what's not happening. And there are too many companies who are not doing that. And I think if we can find a balance where transparency is sort of the key word, and always be open with the user, but also being worded in a way that even my grandmother would understand, not in legal terms. And I think that's extremely important. No one reads the terms of use on Apple, every time you have to update, How can we summarize that in, 4 bullets? And I think that should be a requirement. You need to summarize it so that your grandmother can understand it in 4 bullets.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you there, because very often you just press I agree because you don't want to go through the long notes that come in along with that. But you know, you brought up your mother, you just brought up your grandmother, and we're here doing this campaign to try and ensure that the online space is a safer space for women. And let's be very, very clear and honest, women do face harassment, abuse, threats, all the time in the online world. Why is this an issue that you're so passionate about?
Yeah. No, look, I grew up with my mother and my two sisters. I have a daughter, she's turning 9 this year, and you know, last week we gave her a phone for the first time, and I'm scared. But I did an experiment not long ago. I created a fake account on Twitter, and I pretended to be a woman. I opened up my DM, and you should see, you know, the harassment that you get. Yeah. It's horrifying.
But what were you posting as a fake woman?
I just pretended to be a normal person, joining conversations, you know, and I think it's an experiment that everyone should do to understand the reality. And this was, you know, when it comes to women's safety, this was a subject that we realized this quite early. I think it was in 2012 or 2013. Mm-hmm. We started to look at our user base, and we saw that 40–50% of our users are women. And for a utility product like Truecaller, that doesn't make sense. You know, how many women use, you know, certain utility products? Not many, but for Truecaller, it was a lot. And then we started to understand the reason behind it, and that's when we realized that, you know, women are using our service in many different ways. They want to verify the Uber driver if he's a good actor or a bad actor. He wants to know who's calling me or who's texting me. Should I respond to this? You know, when I ask my sisters, what do you do when you get an unknown call? They say, I never call back, because I know if I call back and that person knows I'm a woman, they might harass me for weeks. And this is in Sweden, so it's not an Indian problem. It's a universal problem. And there's so many things happening in the world, bad things, and companies tend to want to focus on many things and not do anything. And we felt that, look, we want to focus on one subject and be really, really good at it, and that's women's safety, and it represents our user base. I mean, in India, we have 220 million active users. Half of them are women. That's a lot of women. So we told the team many years ago that we want to focus on this, we want to invest in this, and we want to do it, you know, all the time, not just a one-off thing. You know, you tweet something and then you're good, it feels good for a minute and then you forget about it. Not like that. Let's do something serious about this. And the team has done a fantastic job. I don't know how many years we've done this now with the It's Not Okay campaign. But, you know, they feel a big passion around this as well. So I'm very thankful and humbled to have a team, and also having Network18 working with us on this subject. And we're going to continue to do this for many, many years going forward.
How long did you have that fake Twitter account as a woman?
Well, I still have it.
Oh, you still have it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I go in and check from time to time. I mean, I don't want to go into details, but people have sent me pictures that are, you know, I just want to have one button and click, you know, and it gets reported. The problem is that who is this person on the other side? You know, it's usually someone hiding behind some alias, as the minister said. And this is where Truecaller has such a big importance in the society, that we actually reveal the true identity of people.
But explain to me exactly that. How do you solve the problem of anonymity? I mean, if I decide to download the Truecaller app and the Uber driver is not on Truecaller, how will I verify his credentials or her credentials?
Yeah, I mean, most likely that person's family members or friends are using Truecaller. And when he calls his friends and family members, and we might not have a match, then they can suggest and write, hey, this was, you know, X, Y, and Z. And then eventually, when we have enough data suggested by the community, then we will show that information. Okay. And when we have enough data that we feel confident that this is the person who the community say they are, then that person cannot go in and create an account on Truecaller and you know, fake the name, because we'll say, okay, you say your name is, you know, X, Y, and Z, But according to the community, this is your real name.
So in light of what you've done since 2012, because you said that that is when you decided to champion the cause of women, you know, in terms of tools, in terms of partnerships, in terms of forging, partnerships with various stakeholders, including the one that we're doing here this evening, how have you built around this cause? How have you built the ecosystem around this area?
You know, I think many of the things we do come organically from the organization. Many things that we do, we actually don't go out publicly and you know, pump our chest and, you know, talk about it like that. So we do many things under the radar because we want to. And I was, you know, I had a lunch yesterday with Swati, who's the chairperson of the Delhi Commission for Women.
Yes.
And she told me, and this was an incredible story. So a couple of weeks back, our team decided to put in a quick dial button inside of Truecaller to 181, the women helpline. And overnight, the number of calls doubled. So women calling in and reporting that, you know, they feel unsafe, they have been harassed or something like that. And, you know, they didn't ask for anything. We didn't ask for anything. We did it because we wanted to. So we do many of these things under the radar because we want to. And, you know, when speaking with her yesterday, it gave me some good ideas on, you know, how can we, when women call this helpline, how can we trigger a location sharing to them so they know where this person is, because apparently that's one of the big challenges. How do you find these women who feel unsafe? So there's so much we can do, and, you know, just sitting here, I just want to go and, you know, work, basically.
You know, you talked about some of the things that you would like to work on based on real feedback. And this is feedback that you've got from a woman who's heading the Delhi Commission here and is giving you real feedback from real women and their experiences. What are the other ways for you to be able to get into the feedback loop and understand what really are the issues that continue to challenge women in the online world? And how long before you have a product iteration? I mean, you talked about, you know, location sharing, and that's going to be the next idea that you work on. How long does it take for your team to be able to go from idea to execution?
1 week, 2 weeks.
That's it?
Yeah, I mean, why not? You know, we are very Swedish in the sense that we have a very flat organization. So if someone wants to get something done, they get it done. We don't have big processes and please create a PowerPoint and, you know, 50 people should approve it. No, let's build. You know, when COVID, the second wave happened last year in India, our team felt like, okay, we need to do something. In 1 week, they created this COVID health directory so that they could find nearest hospitals, COVID helpline, and these kind of things, which had a tremendous impact. And that was done in less than a week because people just sat down and coded. And then we sent it to production. And we do weekly releases, so it goes really fast.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Speed is of the essence, especially when we're talking about...
Well, it's one of our values, you know, get shit done, and that's important.
I'm glad that you're getting shit done.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Alan, let me then end by asking you, you know, what is the vision for Truecaller from here on? And what has been the biggest lesson of the journey so far? Not just in being able to address the issue that we're talking about here, but building a business, scaling up a business, globalizing a business. What's been the biggest takeaway on that front?
Well, it's one of our values, which is never give up. I think too many entrepreneurs, after 2-3 years, they give up. It takes a long time. I mean, we've been doing this for 13 years now, and it's something that we want to retain in the organization. That if you feel a strong conviction around something, just do it. And even if you don't see any results the first year or second year, it's okay. It will come as long as you feel a strong conviction around this. So never give up is an important value for us, which I think a lot of entrepreneurs should bring with them. It's like this subject, honestly. Like, it's such a big problem, and we can do many things, and we might not feel that we're moving the needle, but I'm sure we are. But it's, it's a journey. So we should never stop. We should never give up on that.
Well, yes, that is good advice to all the startups who are listening. I remember your investors, Sequoia, on the day that you listed on the NASDAQ in Stockholm, said that they started off as underdogs, but today are category creators. So, did you, when you started the company in 2009, did you think that that is what you would end up doing? You would be a category creator?
No, I mean, I mean, me and Nami, we were just 24 years old. We were sitting in his kitchen, and we were building a product that would solve the need that we had to be able to know who's calling me. I mean, we were coders, so we built it. And then we said, okay, let's give it out for free. And we saw, you know, the first week, 10,000 users started to use it. And we were like, okay, there are other people that have this need. So we decided to resign from our full-time jobs and just go all in. And it's true, you know, the category didn't really exist, which made it hard. Like, you couldn't go to investors and say, hey, we're the Uber of phone calls. You know, it's hard to describe what we do unless you experience it.
How would you describe yourself today?
Well, you know, I would say Truecaller is a communication platform that makes communication safer and more efficient. Now, if you sit in, you know, Silicon Valley, you probably don't understand what I'm talking about, but if you're sitting here, you understand what that actually means. And that was a challenge for us, you know, but fortunately we got Sequoia from India who came in and backed the company, Shailesh Lakhani and the team, so it's been phenomenal.
Well, we wish you the very best of luck, Alan. Thanks so much for joining us here and for sharing your story as well as championing the cause of making the online space safer for women, and more power to you and your team for ensuring that that does in fact happen. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Alan Mamadi.
Thank you
so much for joining us.
Thank you.
What a wonderful interaction. Thank you, Mr. Mamedi, and thank you, Shireen. Ladies and gentlemen, we are also honored that the Delhi police is also supporting our campaign, Call It Out, because it's not okay. And I take this opportunity to invite on stage now Mr. Rakesh Asthana, Commissioner of Delhi Police, to deliver his special address on the theme ensuring women's safety a key priority.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, thank you to Network18 and Truecaller for inviting me and the Delhi police officials to address the gathering and through your network to communicate with the viewers across the country. Now, as a police officer, I must first tell you that what is our commitment. As Police Commissioner Delhi, I must assure the audience that we are committed to the safety and security of women and other classes of the society which are weaker, and we are continuously working in the field to ensure the safety and security of women in the city. As you are aware, Delhi has been branded as not very safe for the women. In the past, some ghastly incidents have taken place, and the police has been continuously upgrading its services, updating itself, and trying to tackle the situation. Over a period of time, as the data shows, the police has been successful in controlling the harassment, the crime against women, and there is a constant decline in the cases which have been reported to the police so far as these four major categories of crime, that is rape, assault on women with intent to outrage her modesty, kidnapping, abduction of women, insult to the modesty of women, and the cases under POCSO Act. I have the data. I'll discuss it later on. But to begin with, I must tell you that harassment of women is a serious problem. day in and day out, our control room receives complaints about the harassment online, otherwise also in physical sense, and we keep on tackling such calls. So far as initiatives are concerned, I must tell you that we are constantly matching ourselves with the technological advancements in the field to counter such issues. We have an emergency helpline 112. It's a general helpline, and a special helpline for the women in distress, that is 1091. If you happen to visit our command and control center handling the 112 calls or these specialized calls under 1091, you will find that we are using the technology in the most appropriate manner so as to reduce the response time and to reach to the women in distress as quickly as possible. I take pride in telling you that our response time has gone down from 8 minutes to 3.6 minutes this year, and we have been trying to improve it further. This has been possible because we have not only upgraded our system of control room, but also the responding system so far as this PCR vans, police control room vans are concerned. We have more than 900 vans across the country handling the calls and reaching to the place of crime or the place of harassment in less than 4 minutes now. We have an anti-stalking and anti-obscene call helpline also, 1096. Again, these calls are landing in the control room where other helplines are there, and our people round the clock managing it. We have a call center in which at a time 120 police officials, mostly women, they attend these calls and then they dispatch it to the ground for attending the same. Delhi police has established had come up with an app known as Himmat Plus, and this can be downloaded by anyone in the society, and it has a button for emergency SOS. So if you go to the app, you will find there are various other options, including this option that if you are in distress, you just press that SOS button, your geolocation will be found, and the responder will be there in less than 4 minutes' time. Recently, last year in November, all the districts in the Delhi, we have 15 districts headed by the DCPs. We have started cyber police stations which are designed and mandated to investigate the cyber crimes exclusively, and these police stations are also designated to handle such calls given by the women in distress. These police stations are manned by the competent officers who have undergone training in this particular field, investigation of cyber crimes, and they respond to them very efficiently. We have a specialized unit by name Intelligence Fusion and Strategic Operations Center, which is under the special cell, which is basically working along with the MHA or under the MHA to handle the cyber crimes across the country, and they are equipped with latest softwares and hardwares, and they are capable of detecting and solving and identifying the persons who are involved in cyber crimes, including the people who are stalking women on cyberspace, harassing them in no time. And I am once again taking pride in tell you that this setup of Intelligence Fusion and Strategic Operations Center is one of the best in the world, and their officers are very efficient, well trained, and they take care of all sorts of cybercrime in the city as well as across the country. Recently, you must have heard about the crime related to women, named as Sully Deals and Bully Buy app. A lot of photographs were uploaded on the website of women, and of course, they were harassed, and a lot of furor was there when this thing came up, and we were asked to register the case and investigate. While we were investigating the bully app case, we could solve it in less than 7 days' time by doing a very detailed cyber investigation, which led to the detection of Sully Deals app case also, which was registered in July 21. The real accused who were behind it, who had designed the app, were arrested, and they are now facing the charges in the court of law. Apart from this, we have been working on a project known as Pink Booth. Right now, we have established more than 125 pink booths across the city. These booths are manned by the lady police officers, and they are in different police station areas. And the women on the ground, if they want to have some assistance in physical form, our lady officers are there. We have the lady officers patrolling on the motorcycles and two-wheelers in the areas where such activities are going on, and they are attending to the calls immediately. In a nutshell, I must tell you that we are coming up with a safe city project for the Delhi city, and I think within the next 6 months' time you will find state-of-art technology in the form of an integrated command and control center, which will have the feedbacks from the CCTV footages all over the city, as well as various other technology which we are using for crime investigation, and we will be responding to such situation in a much better manner. Today's session is basically to sensitize and to motivate the women to not to suppress or not to hide the calls which they receive for harassment or obscene calls or any other thing. I, from this forum, from this platform, would like to tell that if you are suppressing, if you are hiding, if you are not reporting, you are in fact encouraging the criminal to commit more and more such crimes. Since the CEO of Truecaller is here, I'd like to mention one or two things which I have faced personally after joining this as police commissioner. Immediately after joining, people from across the country, including Delhi, they started sending me messages on my WhatsApp saying that, "Is that you?" I didn't realize what is that. So they were sending my photograph, which is on the public domain, with a telephone number, asking, is that you? And yes, photograph is mine, but the number is not mine. And in my name, there is a racket going on for extortion, including sextortion. A lot of photographs were uploaded asking money in my name. And I think not less than 50 such WhatsApp messages I got. I sent it across to my officers to register the case and investigate. They have investigated, they have found the culprits, but this thing is going on and on. Today only a Government of India secretary rang me up that somebody is extorting in my name using my photograph on the WhatsApp. I'll like to request the Truecaller, since you are a partner in this, please find out a technology that if my photograph is there and somebody else's mobile number is there, that call should not go through. That will help a lot in controlling this type of scam. This is only one small example I have given. The cyberspace is too vast, and there are a lot of people with a lot of innovative ideas to go on and on to commit such crimes. But I must assure the people present here that we are ready to face such a situation, and we are ready to match them by remaining a step ahead of them. Normally the criminals are a step ahead of us, but we are trying to be a step ahead of them in such a situation. Lastly, this darknet I must mention. The darknet is an area where the law enforcement agencies across the world are finding it very difficult to bust the criminals who are indulging in such type of activities. In our units here, we have solved some cases in which darknet has been used. We have found the real culprits, but it is just like a drop in an ocean. And a lot of work is required to be done. We are working on it, but like Truecaller, there are so many other startups and other agencies who can help the law enforcement agencies to counter such crimes, handle such crimes, and reach to the real culprits in time. Thank you very much for calling me here. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Sthana. Thank you for making time for us and giving us those valuable insights. I will take the same thread forward. Communicating over the phone and social media are second nature to all of us. But is this communication safe for women? To moderate the discussion on the topic, expanding boundaries of communication, let's discuss harassment. Let me now welcome Shreya Dhondeyal, defense editor of CNN News 18. Give us a minute, ladies and gentlemen. Our guests and our moderator for the next panel are just arriving. So the topic of the discussion is expanding boundaries of communication. Let us discuss harassment. And we are trying to figure if the women here also think the same. And of course, Dr. Zia, you always have every person's view, so that makes it quite gender agnostic.
Thank you very much for your patience. We'll just wait for our other panelists to come in. Panelists मुझसे पहले ही आ गए. Thank you very much. We were all in the other room doing some gupshup and speaking to each other. It's always enlightening to have such a great panel here. Atishi has a flight and she's been looking at her watch for a while. But thank you very much for your patience and for joining us for what clearly, hopefully, is going to be an important conversation because I don't think I need to, say anything about harassment. Each one of you know, especially the women, know what it means and how you feel. The question is, what do you do about that? Is it okay to act? Is it not okay? Is it okay to react? We are being told, call it out. How do you call it out? So those are some issues that we'll be deliberating here. Atishi, thank you very much. You were here before me. So actually, the protocol was that I should have introduced all of you. Ek karke ek, that's how it is. But we have Ravina here. Hi, Ravina. Ready to come? Aa jao. I don't have to introduce anyone on this panel, but formality hai to main kar dungi. Ravina Tandon, award-winning actor. They call her Ravishing Ravina, but to me, she's a right-minded citizen and someone who's got very strong and articulate views on the environment and gender issues. Atishi is a Delhi MLA, someone who's been called the architect of Delhi's education revolution. Dr. Sameer Parekh, aapse bade sawal hain aaj on the stalker mindset. Again, we've all seen you on TV. Dr. Ranjana Kumari, thank you very much. You are the first person we call. Koi bhi gender issue pe kaam hota hai. And she's, by the way, just one of the most influential voices in gender policy as well. So Ranjana ji, thank you very much. And we are waiting for Chaya Sharma, who's the Joint CP Delhi. You all know her as well because she's the one who cracked the Nirbhaya case. And there's a series that has been made on her as well. Chaya ji, are you around? Okay. So we are being told that she'll take a minute. Shuru karte hain. We'll wait for Chaji to come in. Shuru karte hain, Ravina? Yeah. Should we start? Should we say Bismillah? All right. So I'm going to start with Ravina because hum sab Delhi mein rehte hain and she's taken a flight and come from Mumbai. So Ravina, first of all, thank you very much for your time. You told me seedhe shuru karo. To main seedhe hi shuru kar rahi hu. Tell me about you. You've been a working woman for the last 20 years. Every workplace sees harassment. What about Bollywood? And if you have faced it and what you have done about it?
आपका उत्तर देने से पहले तो मैं बोलूँगी प्लीज़ उसे बॉलीवुड मत बनाइए बोलिए हम लोग को आजकल बॉलीवुडियाज पता नहीं क्या क्या बोला जाता है and it's actually pretty contrary. Yesterday I was actually at the launch of KGF 2 trailer and हम लोग सब अलग-अलग इंडस्ट्री से थे वहाँ पे कनाडा इंडस्ट्री से मुंबई इंडस्ट्री से तो हम लोग ने सबने डिसाइड किया कि वी आर गोइंग टू स्टार्ट अ कैंपेन नाउ अगेंस्ट दिस वुड्स जो मीडिया ने हमको कॉइन किया है ये वर्ड एंड वी आर जस्ट गोइंग टू कॉल इट द इंडियन फिल्म इंडस्ट्री बिकॉज वी आर ऑल्सो इंटीग्रेटेड विद इन ऑल आवर इंडस्ट्रीज वी आर ऑल वन एक्चुअली एंड दैट्स हाउ वी वांट टू थिंक ऑफ अस as the Indian film industry. Coming back to your point, मैं ज़रूर ये कहना चाहूँगी कि हाँ सही कहा आपने कि हर इंडस्ट्री में हर वर्क प्लेस पे कहीं ना कहीं किसी तरीके का हैरेसमेंट होता है एंड जहाँ तक कि आप हरासमेंट की बात करें तो हमारे इंडस्ट्री में भी है. आई विल नॉट डिनाई द फैक्ट कि नहीं है. प्रॉबेबली हर एक लेवल पे एक अलग तरीके से हरासमेंट होती है. हम सब जानते हैं कि हिंदी फिल्म इंडस्ट्री का चार्म बहुत ही एक चमक धमक का चार्म रहता है जो जितनी मेहनत हम लोग करते हैं वो लोग भूल जाते हैं. तो बहुत सारे जगहों से बहुत सारी लड़कियां भाग के भी इंडस्ट्री में आना चाहती हैं काम करना चाहती हैं एंड वो जब अकेली रहती हैं एंड मैम वी वर एक्चुअली वेटिंग फॉर यू. सॉरी
दैट इज छाया जी.
A big round of applause for her please. Sorry, I took over.
नहीं, go ahead. कर दिया. You have introduced her. हाँ.
तो जहाँ तक के जैसे कि मैंने कहा हर एक लेवल पे होता है, तो ये एक स्टार्टर लेवल पे जो हमारी लड़कियां जो स्ट्रगल कर रही हैं टू बिकम बिग, उनका अलग तरीके से अलग अलग लोग फ़ायदा उठाते हैं, जो हम लोग ने खुद अपने फिल्मों में भी दिखाया है. तो ये नहीं कि हम लोग ने अपने फिल्मों के ज़रिए भी लोगों को वॉर्न नहीं किया है. वी ट्राई टू वॉर्न गर्ल्स that what happens, and we've also given them the right to speak up. अभी जो हाल ही में मी टू कैंपेन शुरू हुआ था, उससे काफ़ी अलग अलग तरीके के लोग डर भी गए कि अब नहीं करना चाहिए. आई फील विमेन शुड स्टैंड अप एंड स्पीक अप. हर एक ऑफिस में आजकल कैमराज लगे हुए हैं, हमारी फिल्म ऑफिसेज में भी. हर एक ऑफिस में एक बड़ा साइन रहता है दैट वी आर हियर टू प्रोटेक्ट आवर विमेन एम्प्लॉयज़ एंड द विमेन हु वर्क फॉर अस. देयर इज दैट इक्वल अमाउंट ऑफ रिस्पेक्ट. So yes, there is harassment. Yes, we have seen it. And like I said, it's at every level probably.
I have a counter argument. And it may be a cliche argument. I completely agree with it. But tell me what you think of it. The film industry often faces the charge of glorifying harassment. Stalker hai, he'll always get the girl in the end. That you're setting an example. If you're seeing your hero, the man you idolize doing it, you think it's okay to do it.
I don't think it's our film industry totally. I think it's always someone who's trying to tell a story. If you see a show on Netflix that is called You, the show deals about this boy who is a stalker and a murderer, and every time he gets his woman. Okay? Now, that is just a show. Now, you can say, is Netflix glorifying that? No, we are not. Nobody is glorifying it. It's in a way you are revealing different characters that belong. I haven't seen any Hindi movie so far which does say that, oh, this guy has molested you, he's raped you, and you hate him, but you marry him in the end. It's always the Shakti Kapoors and the Prem Chopra Jis and all these who get completely killed in the end. तो वो आज तक नहीं हुआ है. लेकिन अगर मैं आपको एग्जाम्पल दूं जो हमारे रियल लाइफ में होता है, आप कितने बार हमने अखबारों में पढ़ा है कि ग्राम पंचायत का ऑर्डर था, उसने रेप कर लिया लड़की को, तब उस लड़की को उससे शादी करनी पड़ेगी. ये हुआ है कि नहीं हमारे देश में?
हुआ है. We've seen.
होता है कि नहीं होता है मैम?
कोर्ट का भी ऑर्डर हुआ है.
कोर्ट का भी ऑर्डर हुआ है. तो आप हमारी फिल्म इंडस्ट्री को क्यों बोल रहे हैं? हाँ, हमारी फिल्म इंडस्ट्री वो दिखाती है, स्टॉकर कभी नहीं दिखाती है. अगर आप रियल लाइफ रोमांसेस भी देखो तो अ मैन हु इज इंटरेस्टेड इन यू विल ट्राई एंड अपीयर एट एवरी प्लेस वेयर यू आर, बट दैट इज ओनली अंटिल एंड अनलेस ही रियलाइज कि कुछ केमिस्ट्री है. और लड़की शायद हाँ बोलेगी बिकॉज शी ऑल्सो लाइक्स हिम बट इज नॉट विलिंग टू से दैट शी लाइक्स हिम. बट देयर इज नेवर बीन एन इंस्टेंस वेयर इफ यू सी, टेल मी, नेम मी वन मूवी where the boy has been a stalker, the girl is not interested and she's been forced to marry him. That you will not see. So the media puts these accusations without realizing, or give me some kind of, names that this happened in this movie, so this is what it is. I mean, every time this argument is, oh, our movie, encourages behavior in real life. How many of you ever even thought of a 9/11 happening in reality? I thought it was science fiction. Did anyone ever dream of driving a plane and using them as bombs? It never happened in any movie before, but it was something new that we've all seen. Hiding bombs in flowers, hiding things has happened in reality. And then movie people have spoken about it. Or there are so many movies that have been made where a woman actually hunts down her rapists. And in fact, I did a movie like that called Matra.
And there was Ma too, the one Sri Devi did.
Yeah, there was one like that. There's so many of them. There's Daku Hasina also. So if you name, there are so many movies that do, in fact, talk about rape and molestation being completely wrong, Insaf Ka Tarazu, and ultimately the villain getting the, thing lawfully in the end, getting justice lawfully in the end, getting a punishment, lawfully in the end.
Can I just get in Atishi here? Atishi, as someone who's dealt a lot with young people, because you've closely worked with Delhi schools, are we even having this conversation with 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, and 16-year-olds? Do they even have the language, forget the wherewithal, but the language to deal with harassment, which is not ek cheese. It is a range, right?
Oh. Actually, if you look at this question of calling it out, I think that the reason why this is such a big issue in India, that we do not report harassment, is because this is exactly how we socialize all girls and all women right from the word go. We tell them कि नहीं देखो तुम्हें कुछ झेलना तो पड़ेगा, कॉम्प्रोमाइज तो करना पड़ेगा, देखो कुछ बातें सुन लेना, जहर का घूंट पी लेना.
Ignore it.
No, absolutely. And this is the reason why it is never in any woman's mindset that this is something to be reported. In fact, it is finally in the last resort, if you were to see many of the women who are sitting on stage, it is because we had good quality education, because we got an opportunity to be educated in places to learn to even voice your basic opinions. Varna for girls, what are the feedback they get? Ye bolti bahut hai, right? Any girl who voices her opinion, not just on harassment, on any topic, gets labeled as कि भाई ये तो बहुत बोलती है, बहुत मुंहफट है, right? So I think that for us, before we even begin to have a conversation on harassment, we have to provide space to young girls to learn to speak out per se, to voice their opinions, to voice things they like, to voice things they don't like, to give them stages and platforms like this, right from when they are much younger, that they know that it is their right and their space to speak out, to express themselves. And I think that really is the most important thing that we need to do. It is that mindset that needs to be changed from much younger days. And I think that really is what our education system needs to do. And I would say that it's not just a question of how we change the mindset of girls. That is, of course, it's important. I think equally important, or even more importantly, is changing the mindset of the boys and the men. And from our time when children are younger, when they're in the house, when they're in the education system, I think there is a lot of basic questions. Some days back, we were doing some program for girls in schools, and someone said, "Ki ji, iska sign na pink color ka banate hain." And I was like, "Kyun?" But what is it about pink that you think that, I mean, I have no problem with the color pink, right? But what is it that one thinks that certain things need to get labeled for boys and certain things need to get labeled for girls? So I think from a much younger age, this question that boys and girls need to be equally empowered, that both boys and girls need to see themselves as equals, as being able to do the same kind of things, that is really what our education system needs to give all children.
You know, one of the things that is a tool that empowers young people, of course, is the cell phone. I know parents have a problem with it, but it also gives parents a sense of security कि बच्चे के पास cell phone है. If they're in trouble, they'll come back. And I want all of you to come in here, but I'll start the question with Atishi. But it's also become a tool of harassment. And I've been speaking to all of you. I've been speaking to some lawyers as well. They're saying the attack surface increases once there is a cell phone. And with that cell phone, you have texts you don't want, you have phone calls you don't want. I'm asking you specifically for young children because you deal with them, and when I say children, I mean 14-year-old, 15-year-olds. What are some of, again, the same question, are you even having this harassment, this conversation with them? This is harassment. Staring may not be harassment, but if something else happens, if this is the text you get, this is harassment. This is what you need to do. Is that something that Delhi schools are talking about?
Absolutely. And I think that in this we must also praise all our lawmakers. I think since the POCSO has come about, there has been a lot of intensive outreach on children about various forms of abuse. And even within our schools, we have our Delhi Commission for Protection of Child Rights is regularly doing awareness activities so that children know what it is that harassment is. And number two, we have counselors in our schools whom they can actually reach out and share in confidence any harassment that they may face. But I think that, yes, while we do definitely need to have this conversation about making sure that we have systems in place, I would definitely go back to the fact that we as a culture need to change our entire mindset. And we need to not just change the perspective that we have towards women and girls, we have to ensure that the girls change their own perspective about themselves, that they feel proud of having opinions, and they feel proud and feel comfortable expressing their opinions.
Ravina ji, before I go to the law enforcers and the experts, can I ask you this? You have 3 daughters, 2 of them are adopted, 1 is biological. Has the phone, even for you in fact, because as I said, attack surface has increased. Anytime you go out to shop, you're giving out your phone number, which means a larger number of people have your phone numbers, and therefore, targeting you or making those obscene calls or messages becomes that much easier because utne logon ke paas aapka number hai. Have you had those conversations with your daughters? Is it something that they have faced? You have a daughter who's going to school, you have daughters who have entered the workspace as well, you as well, if that's become a tool of harassment for you?
Well, honestly, not as far as phone calls are concerned, because I think unrecognized calls is something we just don't pick up in any case. If someone really wants to reach us, then there's always a message. But yes, on messaging, on WhatsApp, there has been kind of messages that have been obscene. You know how the internet is, they morph your pictures on nude pictures and stuff, and they circulate it, and these things, I think a lot of us industry women face. Like I was talking to an advocate who was there just now waiting along, and she said, forget that, she said that happened to a high court judge's wife recently, that her pictures were morphed and they were released WhatsApp groups and everywhere and stuff, and she was fighting that case recently. So this is something that I've trained my daughters, and my daughters, seeing the industry and the line that I've been in, have also learned from my experiences, learned lessons from what I have been telling them constantly. So I think it is very important, very imperative for parents to sit their children down, and I agree with Atishi, I say this also on a lot of my other talks, that it's not only our daughters that we need to talk to. We need to start talking to our sons. We as mothers are also responsible to bring up our sons to be rightful-minded citizens, and to know that the girl sitting next to them is somebody's daughter, is somebody's sister, is a colleague, is a friend, is a person, is a soul, and is someone they also need to take responsibility for, or to look out for. You know, so I tell my son all the time, if they're your friends and there's a party you're coming back from, or even if it is school, if they're going alone, make sure they're, you know, taken care of, or make sure one of you drop. Don't just leave them to go alone in an auto rickshaw or something like that. Take down the numbers. So these are things I think we need to teach our boys as well. Respect, you know, and it's somewhere a thing that I think, I don't know about all moms, but this is a generic statement that I make for everywhere where I'm, especially when I'm talking to women. I say somewhere down the line, you and I are responsible for the upbringing of a kind of character, whether he's a positive or he's negative.
Ranjana ji, why don't women talk about harassment? You know, you speak to law enforcers like Chaya ji, she'll tell you that people don't want to talk. Women don't want to talk. I don't even know if we have proper statistics on how many women in this country are getting harassed. But why do women not want to come out and report cases of harassment?
I think it's a good question. Why women don't speak? Women don't speak because they, A, have been told not to speak. B, that the moment they speak, there'll be so much of social pressure. There'll be so much of, and then what follows if you really speak and you walk into a police station, Chaya ji, lot of process that you have to, legal procedure process that you have to follow, a lot of women don't want to get into that. They rather withdraw, they rather be quiet and not go out and speak. But it's not okay not to speak. It's not okay not to speak, because decades of our work in the women's movement in this country, we have taught women to speak. If you don't speak, it will never change for you. And second, that it's not okay for boys and men to do what they do to women. It's not okay at all. And that's why I really like this campaign between TV18 and Truecaller, that you are running this campaign to give this message clear and loud that girls have to speak out. If anything happens, we have to create support systems for girls to speak out. If the support system is not available within the family, if parents are, you know, rather reprimand them, punish them for speaking out, instead of supporting and standing by the girls and saying that, okay, if this has happened, we will take care, we will be with you, you have to, we will fight back along with you. Fine? That assurance they don't get. In fact, they feel very, very, shy to talk about it. And also the community that we are living in. Our community's mindset has to change. Communities have to accept that these are the things which are wrong in our society, and we need to change them.
And we need to call them out.
Absolutely.
We need to call them out.
Call them out. If you will not call them out, then what will happen is, we will have, just now Ravina said that, girls are told to go back and marry the rapist. Now, which society does that? How can you even imagine that a court in India will make such a judgment? It's totally unacceptable. So I think it's important, and the thing that is very, very important is to create the support system. During the pandemic, You are talking about data. I don't know if we do have any robust system of gender disaggregated data. Actually, no. And that is why our policies towards women are not informed policies. Because we don't collect that data. We only people who walk into the police station, register the case, their data may be in NCRB. Somebody can get up and say, oh, what about National Crime Records Bureau? Yes, the ones which are registered cases, you will get to know. But so many women, 1 out of 10, I would say, suffer in silence. What about our villages? Delhi is not India. Big cities are not India. There's so many girls who suffer and nobody is there to stand by them and support them. And during the pandemic, when we were getting all these phone calls, desperate phone calls, no support system, they can't walk up to the police station. They had no institution functioning, you know, and then the women who were living in violent situation, can you imagine a family where women were already facing violence from husband, from male member, for somebody, some friend, somebody. Those women got caught inside their homes, living in the same situation day and night. They had absolutely no rescue from that. And secondly, also when they tried to reach out, which institution was functioning, tell me? Child Rights Commission, National Commission for Women. National Commission for Women definitely reported that data is increasing. Yeah. A lot of more women are reporting. But services, support systems, there was nothing during that time.
Can I get in, Chaya ji?
Go ahead. That I would like to add is that I think that yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with Ranjana ji that we need to have institutions in place to ensure that women have this support system. But I think one important thing to add is that really in the long run, if we are looking to solve this problem, there is no substitute for education and economic independence. I think that all of us today, many people who are on the stage, many people who are in this room, it's not as if, I mean, women, yes, across all classes face harassment. Of course it happens.
I was about to say that,
yes. But I think the fact that you are able to stand up against it, and number two, when a woman is financially independent, when a woman is empowered, when she is educated, then anyone who's potentially considering harassing you also thinks about it twice. So I think that that is something that...
When it happens in banks, when it happens in colleges, when it happens in educational institutions, where, you know, sexual harassment is a very subtle way of, you know, it happens in a very subtle way sometimes very crude way, but it happens in every institution. Everywhere when men and women are working, something or the other is going wrong there. So
no,
that is why I think
you,
education alone is not enough. You do need the support of the law that is there, sexual harassment.
And you know, Atashi, I'll tell you, of having worked for so long, I can also tell you there's a lot of women even in the workspace. You know, if there is harassment, you know, you're always overthinking. When you want to report, women overthink. Kya hoga, kya hoga? I want to tell you that women don't want to come across as troublemakers. Which is why a lot of times they will not report. Which again becomes, and these are women who know what their rights are, who know what the Vishaka Committee...
Please,
go ahead.
May I interject
go
here?
Ahead.
Besides the fact that, you know, our victims who've gone through a sexual molestation or harassment, I think it's a framework that needs to be there, that needs to be set to support them. Unfortunately, that support is not there, which I think ma'am made a point. And I think that starts right from the top. We've heard comments of politicians saying that, oh, what was she doing there at that time? Oh, she shouldn't have been there.
A woman chief minister, I remember.
I fail to remember the names, but no, whether it was Bengaluru, or it's been Delhi, or it's been anywhere. We've pan-India heard these statements coming right from the top to the bottom. Then if the attitude is that, then how do you expect women to actually stand up and start speaking suddenly? When the attitude is like that from the beginning till we come to our police stations. Like I told you that film Matra, we actually spoke about victim shaming right from the police station to the politicians, to the media doing that to a certain extent. And including our prosecutors who are there, who are handling some cases, a woman standing there in court, if she's fighting that battle, is, I'm sorry, I will not use the word on this, but is shamed in that katera where she's standing, because they're trying to just prove her to be the wrong person. So we need to create an entire support system. And that's why, yes, I think this It's Not Okay campaign is going to help people wake up to that fact and get aware that besides that, we also need that system to help women to stand up to speak.
Chaji, you are part of that system. is that a system that people in this country trust? I ask you this question because if Atishi, bye, have a safe flight and have a good trip to Goa. It's a work trip, ladies and gentlemen. So she's not going off for a holiday. Is this a system we trust? Because I know many women who will, I'll give you my example. Why should I speak about many women? Young college girl, koi kisi ne aake kuch bol diya, gusse mein you walk into a police station. Very nice people who will say, beta chai piyo, FIR bhi likh lenge, aur uske baad you will never hear from them. Ki police ke paas jaake kare bhi kya, ye log to kuch karenge nahi. Right?
So there'll always be good and bad examples, but I've heard to everybody. All I would like to say is that we've come a long way from what Vishakha guidelines were, what is happening in sexual harassment at workplaces now. We have an act. At one point of time, sexual harassment at workplace was not even a crime. Like now it is defined. So staring, if you're, showing pictures, it is all clarified. After post Nirbhaya, the Criminal Amendment Act which came, those small petty crimes, more than eve teasing, less than eve teasing, and a little more than, sexual overtures became clearly defined. Once those became defined, sexual harassment also became a punishable offense. Most people don't know that. Most people don't want to come out and say, like someone said here, women start overthinking. They think that I will become judgmental. Everybody will become judgmental about me. Sab sochenge, isko kya takleef hai? Another problem I've seen in workspaces that, or even in college-going girls, ghar pe bata diya to what will happen? They will say ki chhod do naukri. So they have a lot of other issues. So having said all that, all I'm saying is that there is a law, there is a framework. Where is that? Now there may be a certain, the legacy of a certain patriarchy which is pulling us back, which is not letting us have this effective control of, I'm talking of sexual harassment at workplace, but then even in spaces in public. What happens is that when before Nirbhaya, there were a lot of, why was that pent-up anger? We were wondering. So Ranjana ma'am was part of that movement and she'll understand. Before that, even small eve-teasing cases we'll have, and the family will come and report, and then they'll say, "Hum FIR nahi chahte. Aap bas ladke ko bula ke peet do, aur ye ensure karo ki dobara nahi ho." Now these are like for a police officer. If I just go and beat up, he's somebody's kid. He'll also be a juvenile guy who will be teasing the girl. So there will be a different set of people running after us. So all said and done, then there were judgments, there were court cases when, they'll say कि ये तो bailable offense है, 354, outraging the modesty of a woman. अगर आपको ऐसे हाथ लगा दिया, तो ये तो फट से bail हो जाती है. आपने क्या किया? If it's a bailable offense, it is the law. What can I do? Now, there has been a whole lot of narrative. There was crime against women's cell. There's a lot of, Shashakti movements where we are trying to train women in UAC. We are trying to go to schools. We're trying to create awareness. And then this Nirbhaya thing and the Post-Criminal Amendment Act came. So from 2012, we've come a long way out. We have this Nirbhaya fund, which is being given to all states in the country, where we are trying to cover spaces. This bit about anonymity we are trying to cover. So I'm just going, just to give you a broad overview that from where we started and where we are today, movement which Ranjana ji is, every time the space her center is trying to create, what Delhi Police is continuously doing new things. We have the Himmat app for working women. At one point of time, you had this Jigisha Ghosh and the Padma Vishwanathan case happening. These girls going traveling late night, and that murders happened. I was a newly posted additional DCP in South. And when we worked through those cases, there were these BPOs were called. And the BPOs were told that you have to make sure that this girl is not the last person dropped off. You have to make sure that there is a guard in that vehicle. So slowly what happens is, when I became DCP and I came back, people came up to me and say, "Aapne to selecting women during a job interview became this questionable, because now if we select a woman, we'll have to give her security of being dropped off." So nobody wants to take the onus and responsibility. So that way the society slowly moves away from that part, where it comes to give wherever the issue of empowerment, giving the women a space which is safer comes, society somewhere then pushes back. Last point I want to make generally is we're all talking of examples where we have a very old archaic mindset where women are forced to marry a rapist or etc. Any such bad examples that you may have. All these women sitting here and women sitting there, all of you must be having some men in your life who have made it possible for you to be here. So my endeavor, whenever I want to speak up or whenever I talk about of society, it is that, these such men, the tribe of such men has to enhance. Like I must have married a man whose mother must have told her son to treat your wife with respect. I have a brother who's always been told, "Badi behan hai, jo bol diya sahi hai." So I have a father who says, "Tu mera beta hai." So you develop in that. As a female also, you get an environment which is empowering. You get an environment where three men will stand for you and say, "Bata kisne chheda tujhe." So that kind of an environment, somewhere we cannot provide. We can't ask the society to change overnight. But the more, the more empowerment we give to women, the more, like somebody was saying that, we need to counsel our sons. There's this boys' room chat happening and they're talking dirty about girls, in schools. Somewhere the parents also are responsible. I mean, how have they schooled their sons that, how are you going to treat women? You can't treat them as, a sex object kind of a thing. So like that, that kind of grooming. So some, I think, responsibility has to be taken by the society. And as far as police goes, we've been doing our bit in terms of, like somebody said pink. I said, even if it's a pink color, even if it was violet. So we have these 42 booths all over where we have tried to, identify. Because in a journal perspective, even if you treat it as stereotyping, women will feel more comfortable coming to a booth which is away from the police station. So, okay, we create that. We have the Mahila, desk, which is running now 24/7 in each police station. So, a lot of other, things are there. We have the special police unit for women and children, which is, talking about planning on a very big level about what they can do for women and children on a big scale. It's not just crime against women and mediation and, just sorting out marital disputes. So,
but Chayaji, my question was trust deficit hai.
So yes, so the trust deficit gets overcome over a period of time. You have to start trying. 90% of the time, I've met people who've come to me and said, "I don't want to go to police station. I've had a very bad experience." Aap kabhi gaye hain police station? So sometimes people have not had a bad experience, and just because perception, then there is media, then there is this, this every day in the newspaper you are reading, stuff which you feel, yes, maybe, police are bad.
Okay. So, the clock is ticking, and Sameer Parekh, the only man in this panel, has been quietly listening patiently to all of us. Sameer ji, first of all, thank you very much.
He exactly must be thinking, ye
aurtein
kitna bolti hain.
Kitna bol rahi hai, chup nahi ho rahi hai.
I'm also a psychiatrist. That's an occupational hazard. I listen per se. So the gender doesn't count. I just listen. So
Sameer ji, first of all, thank you for your patience. Ye bataiye, I want to understand from you, I know how you feel. I'm sure, I don't know whether, you've been harassed at some point of your life. You were a police officer, but I know I have been. And you have been? Sabse pehla instinct is gussa. Sabse pehla instinct is gussa. Does it leave an impact if you've been harassed and you've not been able to talk about it? Does it leave an impact on a woman's mind?
No, talk about it or not, harassment leaves an impact.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not dilute that aspect. Harassment is an abuse. It's a line being crossed. If you pick up 100 people, let's use a gender neutral statement here. You pick 100 people who've gone through harassment, compare it with 100 people who've not. Depression, anxiety, insomnia, relationship problems, physical health problems, PTSD, self-esteem issue, body image issues will be overwhelmingly more where there is harassment. So let's be very clear about this, right? And I understand this entire aspect about call it out. I just feel that society needs to be understood because call it out is at one spectrum of the behavior.
What does that mean? What do you mean?
Spectrum is, look at how many vectors are there in this entire conversation. There is a vector which is family. There is a vector which is neighborhood. There is a vector which is internet, which is largely uncontrolled, unfiltered. A 14-year-old, a 12-year-old with all firewalls and parental guidance and this and that, you can still reach out and send an information if you want to, fact of life. Then there is media, can't deny the role of that, has played both positive and negative impact. Robust studies since 50s show that, for example, portrayal of aggression increases aggression in children. Violent games increase violence. Similarly, if you show positive altruistic behavior, that also increases. There's no debate around this.
Okay, so can I ask you something about the psyche of the harasser? Does the harasser pick a target?
Yes and no.
And is there a personality type? Koi typical harasser hota hai kya?
I think the typical thing here is a person who lacks remorse, a person who lacks empathy, and somewhere feels that I will get away with it. And that's why I said this is a spectrum. It's all fine to ask a victim to call it out and seek help, but do we have a system that by the time you are 19, 20, 25, or even 14, 13, do you have the confidence in the system, the entire environment, that you can call it out? Now that's something one needs to ask. And that's where in this spectrum, you start with education. Make a gender sensitized, gender neutral, media literate education. Media literacy is the need of the hour. You move forward, create constant conversations like this. And then you have people speaking. I do feel that this aspect, whether there is a trust deficit, for example, that we were talking about police, again, I quite agree. Most people, if you'll ask them, do you have a trust deficit? If they say yes, but they would have not had a direct experience. This is all how vectors act. This is social conformity, social learning. You see from somebody's observation, you end up thinking, oh, they're all like this. That's not the case. We need to focus upon education while we continue to work on call it out, and we continue to make sure people have consequences. If you don't work on both spectrum, then you will fail. True. Because eventually people will stop speaking.
So I'm going to ask Chayaji, the clock is ticking, so we'll keep it brief. I want to ask you this question, and I'm sure if there are young people who are watching this, if there are older people watching this, what do I do? If I'm being harassed online, offline, मैं करूँ क्या? मुझे करना क्या है? What do I need to do?
As long as you want to call it out, we're ready. Yeah. We have the next panel will have KPS Malhotra. He will give you the website. You can be anonymous. There is an option for being anonymous. You can file your complaint. We can help you file the complaint. More often than not, what happens is they just want to talk to somebody known and they just want to share to that known person. But we have these helplines, which are like 112, 181, 1096. All these are, we have people who are trained to listen to people who are in need for such work. I mean, and then we make sure that sometimes they say, I don't want my name to be there. This guy is talking me from this particular number. And that's all we need. So we make sure that that anonymity is there. Now, we have at numerous forums mentioned that. There have been so many cases which our cyber police stations have made sure that people have been blocked. We have ensured that the person has been picked up and ensured that he doesn't repeat that offense. Sometimes there are people calling from out of Delhi also, and they're trying to stalk because they just start talking and then they start harassing. So we've made sure that those aspects also we have covered. So I think KPS will be in the next panel and he will be able to give that.
Very quickly, I think these days a lot of young children are online and parental control is not working. Because Dr. Sameer has been in a lot of our panels. I think it's not working because of two reasons. One, parents don't understand themselves, and children know how to skirt it around. So I think that's something, it's very important. Like, for example, a lot of girls are complaining about, some complaints we have received where they are saying that, this was my boyfriend, now of course the friendship has broken, so now he's threatening me to post images online. Married couple are complaining, women are complaining when they are divorced that he doesn't want me to get married again or get friends, so posting my images. Now there is a website, ncii.org, which is created globally by the global institutions, especially Facebook, since I am a member on their board. I think we have those institutions which are if you send those complaints to the police or to us, we are coordinating now with the police also the other day. I think it's very important that such information don't walk out of the space. That's the message, that don't walk out, complain, speak. It's not okay if somebody is harassing you, but it's not okay that you are silent. So please break your silence.
Another point I'd like to mention is just one second, just one thing. Today is harassing, you will harass somebody else tomorrow. True. So speak up. I mean, I think that's really important. And all I can say on behalf of Delhi police is have faith in us, we'll deliver.
Okay, Ravina, closing comments. Thank you very much. Thank you. Ravina.
Well, I think as a mom, I suddenly feel very safe having all of you around, and especially Chayaji and Ranjana ji here with us, and of course Sameer. But I would like to say, yes, that this is a problem that we need to tackle with all the young minds, and it's very necessary for us as moms also to tell our children that this is the time, whether a boy or a girl, don't just watch silently, but yes, do speak out, because it's not okay.
Dr. Parekh, last word to you.
We need to create a gender-neutral conversation, a gender-neutral society. We need to have gender sensitization integrated with school education. And all of us need to wake up and ensure media literacy becomes the need of the hour. If we do not create and empower young people with media literacy, we will not know what will hit us 10 years down the lane. That's how serious it is, because usage of media is becoming younger and younger. And that's something that should worry us. So let's think about it, but keep talking about it.
Keep talking about it, and I'm so glad we had your voices here, such articulate, important, powerful voices. Dr. Parekh, thank you for your time. Dr. Ranjana Kumari, thank you very much. Ravina, good to have you on the show, and Shahji, we trust you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being part of the panel.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Once again, thank you, panelists, and thank you, Shreya, for that wonderful, energized conversation with all of them. Moving on, more than 50% girls and young women on social media platforms have faced online harassment. It is the need of the hour to make the internet safer for women. And to discuss how to make digital communication safer for women and girls, let me now welcome Sonal Mehrotra, Editor, Multimedia, Money Control. Sonal?
Hi everybody. I know it's just that time when everybody wants to move out and get a little snack, get something to drink, but we promise to be quick and we promise to make it worth your while. All right? So I see a lot of women sitting out here. Can you tell me how many of you have social media accounts or are on social media? Nice. How many of you have been trolled on social media? How many of you have been stalked on social media? Some form of harassment or the other. And look at the hands around you. Even in this very empowered room, you have these hands go up. And what do we as women do about it? We ignore, we block, we basically try to forget about it, hoping that the person on the other end will do the same. Truth be told, that never really happens, does it? So today, ladies, what if I were to tell you that there are easy, tangible, powerful weapons available that we can all empower ourselves with and beat this demon called social media harassment? Because ladies, it's time to now say no more. It's time to say it's not okay. All right? I'm Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor, and over the next 30 minutes, we'll be giving you these simple solutions that can be applied in day-to-day life. Trust me, this is the conversation you're going to go and take back home. On that note, let me bring in the panel now. Joining us today, we've got Shaina NC with us. Shaina? Shaina is a fashion designer, looks it, a politician, social worker, and has challenged several stereotyped images, really, of female politicians, and she's an important voice to have on the panel. We have KPS Malhotra. He has been at the forefront of fighting cybercrime in the country and was awarded the Union Home Minister's Medal for Excellence in Investigation in 2021. Thank you so much for everything you do. Also with us is Puneet Bhasin. Puneet is the founder of a leading cyber crime firm. I almost mixed. It's a new name you can perhaps get onto, right? And she's been working in this cyber tech world, bringing in law and making it really accessible for everybody. Also with us is Osama today. He's on a mission, we are told, for eradicating information poverty and for India using digital tools as well through Digital Empowerment Foundation that he runs. Good to have you. Also with us is Pragya, who's been running behind the stage all this while, finally on stage now. She's the Director of Public Affairs at Truecaller. And it is, of course, the third most used app, and now doing phenomenal things like this one. All right. So before we begin and have everybody, give us their insight into it, one thing that often happens with harassment against women is that it ends up becoming numbers. It ends up becoming just a case study that has been thrown there. Ends up becoming, okay, we are trying to deal with so many issues and so many details. Often the face behind it, the stories behind it, the trauma behind that every number that you see is often lost. So today we have for you story of a girl who went through cyberbullying, harassment, call it what you want really. And she sums up that trauma in just 3 minutes. You got to watch this.
I'm Satya Tharian. I recently turned 28 years old. I'm from Mangalore. I'm a full-time content creator. I really enjoy making videos, interacting with people online. It's a lot of fun. I was really enjoying the space, and something happened where it suddenly made everything very sour. There was this one person who started messaging me. The way it started, it wasn't like it was odd or it was strange. So what changed was, I think a few days before Valentine's Day, when he started sending me messages like, I want to tell you something, ... These are the kind of messages that women encounter so much that it's almost become normalized now, and you just ignore it. And then he started sending me a lot of messages, and I restricted him. He would just keep sending emails one after the other, So I started ignoring it. I remember he even tried to video call me on social media, and me again thinking that it was a misunderstanding probably. I messaged him saying, hey, if you video call me or you try to call me again, I am going to block you. So I gave all these things of what I thought was adequate warning. I had been to a coffee shop, and I had posted that, oh, I love this coffee shop. And I think about 5 minutes later, the coffee shop owner comes to me and he's like, hey, there's someone calling for you. And I was like, who's calling a coffee shop? Like, if it was my friend, they would call me directly, right? And then he said his name. And then it struck me that it's the same guy who's been emailing me. And I was so terrified, not knowing who's going to show up where. How is he going to show up? Is he going to show up with a weapon because I've been ignoring him? I don't know. I was terrified. And I was just hiding out in the coffee shop and just quickly booked a cab, and I walked out of the coffee shop with 2-3 friends like this covering me, and I was in the center. It seems so overboard now, but at that moment I was so scared, and I would have done anything to be safe. I know that there are a lot of provisions to help women. I came across this National Cybercrime Portal and gave in all the information that I had, and it was very quick because I got an acknowledgement number, I got an email saying, your complaint has been registered, we'll look into it and all of that. And so I felt a little bit of relief that, okay, it's registered somewhere that this person is doing this to me. The day before my birthday, which is the day that he told me he was going to come to Mangalore to meet me, I remember I was just scrolling through social media, and I saw his profile, and I see that he's put a picture in Mangalore standing outside my childhood school. And at that moment, I remember like my blood ran cold. I was so terrified that I just immediately told my parents.
I told her that we are with her at any cost, and I will protect her on any account.
It made me feel better knowing that my parents were calm, that they didn't panic, and they just also wanted to make sure that I was safe and I was calm. I made it very, very clear that I do not want to talk to you, I do not want to have anything to do with you. I've said no multiple times. And they say, right, no means no, but some people just don't seem to get it.
So it's a forced invitation. But I said, neither is not going to come here, nor you are going to meet that person. But we are going to arrest this kind of nonsense. And we have to do it in a legal way that society has provided.
And the next day, on my birthday, I went to the police station early in the morning with my father, gave them all the information. They went to apprehend him. I wanted his details to be on record so that in the future, if he ever tries to do something to me again, the police know exactly who he is, where he is, and they can track him. The police said, you know, he will never contact you again. If he ever contacts you again, this petty case will be converted into an FIR. I felt a little bit relieved that, okay, at least he knows the severity of this matter. He's never going to contact me again. When you've experienced this kind of harassment, repeated, continuous, with people not being taken to task for it or not punished for it, you reach a point where you're like, enough. Oh, I will not tolerate this behavior anymore. I think I was operating from a place of pure just self-protection and self-defense, where I wanted to make sure that I would be safe, not just in this moment, but going forward in life. I don't want to have to constantly look back over my shoulder. The more you ignore it, the more the person becomes emboldened and the more they're going to do to other people. The minute they are stopped and told that it's wrong and they actually have to face the consequences for their action, that's when not only are you empowered as a person, but you are stopping that cycle of them doing it to someone else. You have to call out behavior that makes you uncomfortable. You have to call it out because it's not okay. And you have to make sure that as an individual, you can do everything in your part to protect yourself, whatever it is, be it reporting, blocking, filing a complaint, talking to someone, but don't suffer in silence. You don't have to. There are laws, there are measures to keep you safe, and nobody can reach you once you have filed a complaint.
What a powerful, powerful story there. How many of us, imagine, end up doing that? So that was a regular girl, right? So many of us sitting out there are like, hey, something like this happened to me, right? I can see a lot of nods over there. But Shaina, let me come to you. From the very aurat to women like me who often wonder whether or not we should actually go ahead, does it actually happen to a very khas aurat also? People like you who are powerful, who have all connections, still harassment just has no bound?
Well, this is the first time I'm saying it in front of an audience, but I've had a terrible, terrible experience too. So there's one thing which is harassment, and there's one thing which is sleaze, and a lot of us don't really speak about it. Being in public life, you get lots of calls from lots of people, and if you don't answer, it's not correct. Fortunately or unfortunately, I don't have Truecaller, so I answer all my calls. And this was a couple of years back, and I would get calls saying, what a big fan this person is of me, and blah, 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 and I would then cut it off. Started with messages. The messages increased so much that I started noticing the messages, because I would not normally even get into details of what somebody's sending on a WhatsApp, because you get thousands of WhatsApp messages. And for somebody like me who's really not technology savvy, by the end of it, I had 478 messages. They were in Hindi. When I read, it was about me, what I was wearing, my body parts, how this person is fantasizing about me. And it was extremely painful, because I, for a second, thought, have I done something to gain this kind of traction? And for messages which I had not even read, I went back and saw this whole perverted mindset. I spoke to my husband that night and a couple of times before, and he said, just ignore it. In the past, once we went through this whole thing, he said, this is serious. Tomorrow morning, we have to go to the cyber police. And I went Mumbai at BKC. I registered a complaint. It was so tragic that when the police went through a lot of these messages, which I didn't even go through, because I thought that, you know, this is some pervert, or maybe it's just general, or it could be something that is being sent out in a broadcast, the police were actually ashamed. And they said that, we're so happy that you've come and registered this complaint. This complaint was registered. Unfortunately, what happens in most cases and in public space and in politics, These are people who sometimes belong from the party or as distant so-called supporters. And it's a very awkward spot also because you start believing that, oh my God, have I dressed wrong or am I doing something to get this kind of...
Yes, that's just that.
And I'm so glad that I did what I did, and I'm so glad I had my family support. The tragedy is that after I registered this complaint, I obviously didn't go to the media because I knew it would become a national story and it was election time and who's this person and how has he reached out to you. I didn't want to be in any of that slugfest. But you won't believe that the police did get into action, and then after maybe 3 to 4 weeks, I got calls from some different numbers. And when I answered that call, it was this pervert who said, Didi, mujhe maaf kar do. Didi, aap meri badi didi hain. And I was just thinking that this kind of a mindset, it's only okay if we speak up and socially ostracize, because it really is not okay. And in public life and in politics, a lot of women, and I know it, they don't speak. They feel their entire careers in certain cases, if there is a big leader, they feel that, is it right to speak? Is it wrong to speak? But I would urge every single one, put your career aside, put your, your thought processes aside and really speak up, because it's just not okay for anybody to take advantage of you.
Shaina, thanks so much for sharing that, and well done you. We need leaders like these. We need more and more women to come out and say, dude, I did deal with it. And look, it did come to some conclusion, right? I don't even want to begin by going further and saying, how do you even go out and interact with other volunteers, and does that change you?
The sad part is that in public life and politics, and I think this needs to be addressed, at the cost of people saying, oh, why does she need to speak? I need to speak. There are a lot of leaders who also must understand they cannot take advantage of women, because women get it. Women understand it. A lot of us pretend as if we're ignoring it. But when there is this kind of sleaze, harassment in public space, if a small karyakarta like this can take a chance at somebody like me who's happily married with 2 children, not in any single zone, it just shows you the debauched mindset that we need to collectively fight.
I also think it's because they think nobody is going to find out. They think they will remain behind this garb of anonymity and nobody will know. I think that's the weapon that they're using. That's exactly what we need to break, right? KPS, just taking forward from that. So it's not just the girl we heard over there. It's politicians, it's journalists, it's anybody out in the public life. And I doubt I will find a woman who will say she has not faced it. I really doubt. But you are here to tell us that there are tangible solutions, right? We can't keep just talking about it. We've got to work towards something. And if you could just take us through what exactly is it that Delhi Police is doing right now, what particularly your department is doing.
So taking the 2 examples forward, the 2 examples had the 2 takeaways. One is both of the ladies reported. Yeah. Second is that police performed. So I'll take an opportunity to say that yes, in case you report, we are there to help.
Okay, let's give you that.
So solutions were given by that complainant also, and ma'am also. Solution is you need to approach the police. You want to maintain your anonymity? Yes, there are ways and means. You can report on the cybercrime portal. It is already been spelled out there. I'll spell it out again. It is www.cybercrime.gov.in. Once you do that and you want to maintain your anonymity, there are provisions of the same. And we are happy to help. We are also part of the society. We know the problem exists. We don't want to shy away from the problem, number one. If the problem is there, we know that on a cyberspace, these pervert mind, they take an opportunity to take the garb of anonymity behind various layers of the technologies which are available. But I can assure you, you can depose faith in us that yes, we are there to break the anonymities. And if you report, we are there with you always. Thank you.
I want to believe you right now, but a lot of women right now hearing this would say, but how? Could you take me through, or all our viewers at this point, through how exactly does the entire circle happen? So say I encounter something tragic and I want to report it. I gather and muster the courage to do it. I log on to the website. What happens next?
So once you log into the website, already this point was raised by my CP sir, that now we have 15 cyber police stations, each for one for each district. So by means of that, we have created somewhere or the other geospatial advantage for the citizens of Delhi. So the person staying in one part of the Delhi can go to the nearest cyber police station in case he wants to report, he or she wants to report
Even
in
if the
person.
harasser is not in Delhi. Could be anywhere across the world.
You are being harassed immaterial where the harasser is. Cyberspace has no boundaries. We don't register the cases on the basis of where the harasser is.
Okay.
We register cases on the basis of where you are. And wherever you are, whether your home address, whether your professional address, we are not there to question on that. Wherever you're comfortable to register your complaint.
Okay,
and as
so
when it is available online,
right.
so accordingly the geotagged police station, cyber police station will be for your help. And our unit, as an apex unit for the cybercrime and for intelligence fusion, we are there to help them technologically. We are there to help them break the anonymities of such people. And we have done in past.
I did try the number that you were talking about earlier and did log into the website to get a first-hand experience on how it's working. And I did get an OTP back and said that, okay, this has been registered. So that was comforting to know. I want to understand the next steps here. What if I'm somebody who is fearful of the fact that if this comes out, my parents just might snatch away my phone. My studies might be blocked. My laptop might be taken away. The question will come back to me. So I'm fearful, I'm worried. I don't want this to get out. Can I trust Delhi police?
You can.
How?
No. You raised a question that what about your societal issues? No doubt we are layered in the society. We have an immediate layer of a family. We might have a feeling that how will my family react? How will my peer group react? How will my friends react? But somewhere or the other, the first point to break is that feeling. Your family might react at that point in time, but you are not the accused. You have to make it open, and you have to comfort them also that in case because if we are moving in this world on the cyberspace and we are physically also that mobile, our parents and our society is also evolving over time. So I think that part of making the comfort with the family is first and foremost thing, which yes, family plays a role, even the complainant has to play.
You keep it anonymous, the complaints?
We keep it anonymous. We keep the complaint anonymous if you want so. In case you don't want that anybody should know, that is a possibility. But in that case, once the charge sheet is filed, definitely there is some sort of statement of a complainant. That is also managed in a way that we get it done through 164 statements in person in magistrate's office. There are means and ways in the law. The only point is, first step is coming forward. And then in case you still want to maintain the anonymity, you can come up with this point that I don't want to be, my anonymity should, I should be kept anonymous, my identity should not be disclosed. That is, there are few things we have to do and few things we're duty bound not to do. Sure. And one is that not to disclose the identity of a woman as a complainant. And we do take care. And one more important point, we upload the FIRs online, except the FIRs where women are the complainant. So we take due care and caution that none of the FIR where a woman is a complainant regarding any sort of a harassment, be it on a physical world or on a cyber world, we do not upload it. And there is a provision in law, and every time it is used.
That's very good to know, and I can say that Delhi police has come a long way. We really hope that in other parts of the country, people take a cue and we all will evolve in the same way.
Thanks.
I want to move to Puneet next. So there's a huge question, even when discussions are happening amongst friends and opinions are being floated around about what exactly is harassment and why should you really go out and talk about it? boys will be boys is something that has been talked about, right? Oh, he just liked you, he just followed you, he's just being nice. I'm sorry to say this, a lot of times women also make these comments. It's lack of awareness perhaps, but these comments are made. So I'm sure you find it hard to encourage people to come out and even tell them the law on this. For everybody watching right now and perhaps on the other side, what message do you have?
See, harassment, in simple words to put it, is if any person is messaging you when you do not want it. So if you've conveyed that you are not interested in communicating, any person calling you, any person initiating any form of communication, tracking you, whether it may be on Twitter, whether it may be on other sites, liking, constant commenting. See, in a physical world, it's easier to identify somebody stalking you. In the online world, it's very, very difficult. So, you know, if you keep a check on what's happening on your social media profiles, and if you understand that there's somebody you're uncomfortable with, and despite you conveying, they continue to do that, that's harassment. Now, as a matter of fact, in India, we had Section 66A prior in the Information Technology Act, which actually made it an offense for any person, you know, if they sent any message which would be obnoxious, which would have depraving content, and there were such terms used. It was struck off. The reason it was actually struck off is because these were very, you could say, terms which were open-ended. Today, what I may find disturbing, because there was a term even disturbing. Now, what I find disturbing, maybe you may not find disturbing. So it was not well defined, but the need of
now
that
there
kind
is a
of
definition, you're
is
saying? Now there is a definition?
No, there isn't. So as a matter of fact, Section 66A, that's what I was coming to. It was to be amended and it was to come back. It's been years now. It's been over 3 to 4 years. Section 66A was struck off, but the amended Section 66A never came back. So when we are talking about stalking, we are talking of 354D, IPC, we are talking of the Indian Penal Code provisions. We are not talking about the information technology provisions, the law, information technology law provisions, and we just put it under a blanket section. Okay, this is an offense under the IT Act, which the police will also normally do. So even you would check with him on how they're actually putting in the sections in the FIRs. It's primarily, you know, in the Indian Penal Code sections, which are amended to include online harassment, online stalking. That's exactly criminal defamation. If, you know, a woman is being defamed online, it's those
so
kind of provisions.
There's a lot of work that needs to be done legally on this as well, right?
A lot of it has been done. A lot of it has to be done. So if you see last year, there was a lot of miscommunication all over among people with respect to the intermediary rules of 2021. I think it was a very empowering piece of legislation for women and children because it gave them an immediate redressal mechanism. Like today, for example, what happened with any of the people on social media sites, or let's say in your online dating platforms, what is the first thing you would have to do if there's an offense? You would have to go to the police station, or you would have to go and file a police complaint, or let's say online, if you do that. Many places online doesn't work in a lot of states, as a matter of fact. You have to physically go. So in the event that is also not an option, what the intermediary rules actually provided you with a 3-tier grievance redressal mechanism before the police stage, which means every social media platform or intermediary platform. Intermediary means any platform connecting two people or providing a platform for other people to do something, whether it may be business, whether it may be social interactions.
That's practically all apps.
So all apps. So that's the definition of intermediaries, just to be clear. So it provided that it was mandatory for all these kind of applications to have a 3-tier grievance redressal mechanism. So you had to have a grievance officer who has to, let's say if it's content related to a woman, they have to pull that content down within 24 hours. If it's nude content, within 72 hours, they need to provide redressal for other issues also. If you're not satisfied with what decision has been made by the grievance redressal officer, you could go to the zonal officer, from there to the compliance officer of the organization, and all of them have to have an office in India. So no application can say, I am regulated by the laws of XYZ country, that's my registered office, so you need to get a court order from the court
where
and
all
then
the
we will come.
reports
That option was not there.
Of your Instagram, you report and you block accounts there, you report on other things, etc. That also works.
Yes.
And I want to actually move your attention, Puneet, to something more concrete here in terms of evidence. When it comes to harassment online, what merits as evidence and what does not? I ask this question because a lot of times when stalking or harassment happens online, it's not this one person, it's this code. You block one, there's another one. You block the second one, there's a third one. There's a constant array, right? How does one consolidate that? And in the eyes of law, how is that seen? I'm somebody who wants to report. I'm looking at evidence. What do you think is something I need to keep my eyes on?
See, take screenshots of all kinds of content that would be, let's say, related to the harassment, whether they may be chats, whether identity-related photographs, content that you can collect. One thing you need to understand, even when you are going to file a complaint, after that, when the police, or let's say even with the grievance redressal officer of the app itself, now they have also got the power to check who that person is. So even the police is going to write to the application and the platform, and they can get that content. And let's say you want to find out the first originator. Let's say there are multiple people harassing you, something that has gone viral. Then the police also has the power to approach the court and find out the first originator. Who is the person who has originated such content which is depraving in nature about you. So the entire evidence trail is there. It's just that the knowledge about how to get it should be there. And the second most important thing, all this kind of evidence. Now in the Indian Evidence Act, we have the concept of primary and secondary evidence. Every evidence which is digital, and even if it's a photocopy or a screenshot, is considered primary evidence. So that is something very interesting. When you talk about regular offenses under the Indian Penal Code, if the copy of that particular document, copy of evidence is considered secondary evidence. Whereas in the case of the Information Technology Act, it is considered primary evidence. So
That's
whatever
good
you are
information
collecting,
to know.
understand it has a very good value in law, in a trial, and even before the police authorities.
Right, that's really good information to cap. Usama, let's come to you next. You deal with lots of these women who are new to the internet, right? First-time internet users, people who are just discovering, coming in their own, women in small towns, in rural areas as well. And with them, the challenge of social media harassment or online harassment is very, very different. How does one go about that? Because what we don't want is the device out of their hand. What we want is power in those hands. How do you do it? Share some experiences.
So, I mean, I want to say one thing. Harassment is a male, rest are female, you know. So that means there are as many males, there are as many risks.
As many?
Yes. And I'm telling you the truth and by the number. I talked to you yesterday. You wanted me to know what will I speak, right? I talked to at least 60 girls in the village who got first time online and one of the coordinator. And I will tell you a very simple, straightforward, real story. This is Jyoti sitting in Rewa. For the last 15 years, she is working in villages. With us, she is working about 6, 7, 8 years. And under her, there are about 66 girls who work in that area doing various kind of digital intervention like the model that we have. We have these entrepreneurs who work in the villages, they provide services, they provide literacy, education, so on and so forth. I asked her that, Jyoti, कभी तुमको परेशानी हुई है ऑनलाइन? तो बोली कि सर आपने बहुत दिनों के बाद फ़ोन किया है तो लेट मी टेल यू. बोली कि मैं खुद उसकी विक्टिम हूँ. Now, this victim that I am going to tell you the way she narrated, she is not going to be the only one. Number one, she said, if any woman is saying that she is not harassed, she is lying. Or she doesn't want to discuss. There is impossible that you are online and you are not harassed. Now you can compare these harassment in many categories. जैसे ogling eyes are also harassment. So अगर online में कोई आपको ping कर रहा है, आपको you don't want pinging to be done. I mean, why somebody is pinging and you don't know this? So she said that most of the time we were getting this unnecessarily calls from messenger of the Facebook and even video call and lots of messages with videos and recorded videos and those kind of things which you never wanted. And data call is different than the telecom call. Data call doesn't need a number. If you are online, then you are already accessible. And she said that you won't believe that I first blocked, then I deleted Messenger altogether, then I was so much, इतना ज़्यादा मैं परेशान थी कि, any video call will come, any call will come, I will not, if it is a data call, she will not attend because she doesn't know who will be on the other side, even the necessary calls. And she said that anybody said 50, 60%? No, everybody. And I said that, have you ever complained? Well, why should I complain? She said, why should I complain? Because in this case, the complainant is a victim, is the culprit. Because सबसे पहले मेरी समाज में एक ये है, मैं जैसे कंप्लेन करूंगी, आधे लोग तो ये सोचेंगे कि किसने बोला था ऑनलाइन जाने के लिए, किसने बोला था ये सब करने के लिए, and I have a social status. I have so many people working around me. I don't want that even topic to be discussed. And she said that depending upon the level of harassment, when it becomes a public news or a recorded news or the complaint news, I am 80% already harassed.
आपने क्या एडवाइस दिया उसे?
अब एडवाइस दूंगा तो यहाँ तो सब खत्म हो जाए. So I will tell you 2-3. No,
these are very.
No, I'm trying to tell you the answer to the harassment is not online tool. It's a social issue. It is a serious social issue. हम 20 साल से काम कर रहे हैं गांव में. We started with male taking care of the digital centers. We have now 100% women taking of the digital centers. That's my reply. Because then anybody is complaining very easily. देंगे दीदी ये देख लो क्या आ रही है, कौन आ रही है, क्या आ रही है, ये मुझे नहीं समझ में आता, आप बताओ क्या करें, and things like that. So I'm saying that it's a social issue, cannot be only solved by the technological issue. अब सारे लोग ही बीमार हैं, तो इसका मतलब दवा देके तो ठीक नहीं हो सकते ना.
I see where
दारू भी
you're
देके
going.
ठीक नहीं हो सकते, लेकिन I'm just saying, but it is very important that we understand that online tools, curative tools are very necessary. But the point is that the bigger evil here is the social evil. And social evil can only be solved by preventive measures. Technology has preventive measures by identifying people.
Yeah.
But still, it is education that has to be there.
I'm not entirely sure if harassment online and offline can be put together.
No.
Not entirely. I don't think that can be done. Social harassment is of a different degree. We were chatting up a little earlier and we actually got some statistics on how during the pandemic, when everybody was stuck home, guess what our harassment numbers were? They actually shot up. That tells you the form in which this demon is taking over. And that's where people like you come in.
Yes,
Let me ask you this. If you were talking to Jyoti on the other side, what would you tell her?
Well, I actually spoke to Osama and gave him a little tip on the side, which he refused to take. But no, I think I just want to step back and say a few things first. I think I agree with you that online and offline harassment is different. But I want to very clearly say that the internet just does imitate society at the end of the day, right? And so what you are seeing in society just gets amplified on the internet because there's scale and the connectivity means that the speed at which it goes obviously accelerates much more than in the offline world. And that's why this cause is really important to us and to our founders. Alan is here and Nami as well, where we feel that about 1 in 5 women are harassed online. And we did a quick survey and it basically said that 85% of the women got harassed, but only 12% of them reported it. And this is really the reason why we decided to build on the last 5 years of It's Not Okay, saying that you need to call it out. Like Shaina said, that if there's an empowering environment, which is she got support from her family, and when she also went and spoke to the police, it also allows for other women to actually come out and raise their voice. I think the government is doing a lot. Mr. Malhotra just mentioned, there are so many projects. There are women-only police stations. There are also helpline numbers which we've pinned even within Truecaller. And the reason we did that is because when you are getting harassed and you are in a vulnerable situation, you obviously can't think very clearly. You're feeling anxious. You're flustered, you don't know what is it that you can do to actually tackle this. And mostly, invariably, it's the social conditioning and stigma that kicks in, which is, like Shaina was saying, if this has happened to me, there's something wrong with me. But actually, we need to now shift the onus on the harasser and not really talk about what is wrong with me, but dude, this is not okay. You know, like you're gonna stop somewhere. And I think the role that our platform is playing is that because we're able to identify calls, you know, women have a lot more context. And I think, Shaina, we need to get you on Truecaller ASAP. You know, I think, you know, when you have that context, it empowers you to block that number, and it also allows you to feel safe, because the internet is a very empowering space. You know, it unlocks and unleashes incredible amount of opportunities. The same women, you know, who Osama is talking about are also the women who are building rural businesses from the comfort of their homes. And they're able to do that because the internet has given them that.
And I think that's what happens to women in this generation. They're so focused on trying to achieve it. They just want to brush aside every obstacle that comes their way, right? They want to say, okay, let's block it, let's move aside, eyes on the prize, right? That's why women don't report it. And it took Shaina about, what, 400, how many messages did you say?
478.
478 messages to finally report
it. A lot
and
of which I didn't read.
Of course. Yeah. And for you to finally report it. But for all these women who are listening to you right now, who actually want to say that, hey, you know, this can be done. Like, that's the message we want to go out from here, right? That report it. It's not okay. And there will be people like Mr. Malhotra over here who will ensure that something is done.
I think it's very important to report, but to report sensibly, not sensational reporting. That's also a point that we must address. There are a lot of people who would want sensationalism also with a report, which needs to be condemned. And if it is genuine harassment, which it was in my case or a lot of the other cases that have come out, obviously the police also has its hands full, and in a country as large as ours, if every second woman who wants to settle a score with an ex-boyfriend or a husband or in a situation, I'm giving you the other aspect, then the police will really have their hands full just segregating which is legitimate and which is not. My only appeal is that for women in public space, please speak up, because it takes a lot of guts to go out there and pick up somebody or speak up against somebody who is part of your comfort zone, because there's a lot of baggage that comes with it also. You feel that, oh God, now if I complain, everyone will look at me and keep me at arm's length because they feel she's danger zone. So there are lots of other aspects that need to be considered too. But as far as this campaign is concerned, I only want to say it's not okay, yes, but it's even more not okay if you don't speak up.
Yeah, that's nicely said. I just quickly have to wrap up. I'm told time's up, but quick last comments. And, you know, generally, because I want to understand from you, for people who are saying, okay, I don't want the guy behind bars. I just want him off my back. I just want him to stop troubling me. I don't want to go through the entire process of taking him to court, you know, getting into the process, the entire really long, tedious process involved. Is there something that can be done there?
In case the case is registered, so the law takes its own course. So that's not the possibility. I can say that police can close the case at its will. The case has to go to the court. So that's in where we draw this provision of Lalita Kumari judgment, that we take some time to register such cases, in which in case the case is settled and the complainant doesn't want to pursue within 45 days as a time period, and we take the appropriate action, which is to the justification of the offense and also takes care of the issue. So in case that in time the woman wants to take the complaint back, that is a possibility.
That is a possibility.
That is a possibility.
Very quickly then, Puneet, as well, on quick last comments on kind of things, evidences legally one should keep in mind as women. I feel information is powerful, right? Information is key over here. That's how we're going to fight this battle out. What is this thing that one should keep in mind?
Well, a few closing tips for all women. First of all, respect yourself and your privacy. So the more you share, understand the more information about yourself, your locations, your life, whether it's your child's school, you're going to create more attack vectors and surfaces for yourself. So you need to, at some point of time, decide how much to share, like your locations, the more sharing of locations, it can lead to a lot of problems. On your cell phone devices also, always ensure you are not having the location tracking on at every point of time. There are multiple applications which are actually tracking your location. So that's something that's very important. The next thing is with respect to apps which can beautify your face, etc., photographs. A lot of them actually don't have data security, which means your images can be used for nudification and a lot of content which you yourself are uploading for beautification of photos. And lastly, all of us have anti-malware, spyware on our laptops, but today we have a smarter computer with us in our own pockets and purses. As women, we need to have anti-spyware and malware in our cell phone today. It's like we say, don't open a spam email and a link and it can be dangerous and your computer can get hacked. Today, you are opening any and every message on instant messaging, you're clicking on those links. How is that any way better? You are actually exposing yourself. I will just conclude with a case that I will share with you in which one of the applications which was commonly downloaded by a lot of women actually had a spyware associated which was a Trojan, and it could remotely switch on the camera. Even if your phone was switched off, it could switch it on and put on the camera front and back. And the person who had designed the app actually was recording videos of women in all kinds of private spaces. And many women even didn't know about it. And it was much later that when one female journalist had reported about this to the police that the entire backtracking had happened, it never came out much in media and public light. But you can imagine all of you have apps on your phone. Do you know that you're carrying your cell phone everywhere? You could be recorded at any and every point of time. So please download an anti-spyware because prevention is better than cure. I think you should first take the steps. The law is there. The law enforcement is there. It's not okay, but take the action for yourself too.
I'm not sure how much of not sharing location. So no selfies after this show. Then nobody's tagging the location and nobody's saying any of that. But this is a challenge. This is a challenge. We need a separate panel to discuss this all together. So, quick last comments.
So I have just 2 lines. One is that taking forward what Dr. Samir said last time, that media information literacy is extremely important as a necessity. But to link to that, I would request the police department to to come as a community policing where you create a mass awareness to the males only, from the boys, how to be online, how to behave online, how to use the online tools, only because the rest of the people know how to use it. And then you don't have any registration of
harassment. They'll get it anyways. लड़कों को सिखाओ अभी.
बिल्कुल उन्हीं को और ऐसी उम्र में adolescent के उम्र में जो आगे लेके जाएं, because then your registration of harassment is in any case going to be less. So community policing might be more preventive.
Right.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with Osama. I almost call it that the vaccination to harassment is actually just learning and taking online safety curriculum, which in fact we have one. We tied up with a civil society organization and we have it on itsnotok.in. So please go visit and you can take the online harassment, online safety course, because it helps you know what do you have in order to fight harassment. Because I think once you feel empowered, you feel less anxious and you also feel encouraged to go out and report it. I think just one last thing I wanted to say is that I think this has to be an inclusive conversation, which is why we wanted to do this and create a collaborative effort. But men are equally important in this conversation, because I think we need to understand where does this really come from. When Osama spoke about it being an education and a social cause, so we need to do that as well. And I think third thing is more and more when we see more women in leadership positions, like Shaina or like you or others on this panel, or we also spoke with Uma and others who are in public life, and harassment cuts across everything. You feel you're privileged and maybe in some way you're cocooned, but you're actually not. It just manifests in different ways. So when more and more women see other women in leadership positions and they feel like they're going out and talking about it, and like Shaina said, you feel empowered to speak up, then they feel like, I have the right protection. And I think the same thing we're doing at Truecaller, where, we have a very diverse and inclusive way, because even in business, women are a very important part of the customers you serve. And if you don't understand them, you're never going to be able to do a good job of that. So speak up and call it out for sure.
I think your next campaign should be "Bete ko samjhao, bete ko sikhao."
Yes, I agree.
I think China is clearly taking some notes back. So on that note, it's been lovely having all of you here. I love the beauty of this panel to understand the social aspect of it, the tech aspect of it, the policing aspect of it, the legal, and then where it all really ends. So thank you all for your time. We really hope we've managed to trigger and seed this thought in your head that really it's not okay. You can call it out, and there are tangible solutions out there. So good luck, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sonu. Thank you, all our panelists. Wow. Some empowered women talking there. And as we believe, empowered women can truly change the world. Joining us now, all the way from Sweden, Ms. Annika Voitaninen, Board of Director at Truecaller. She's a financial market expert focused on corporate governance, digital service, and strategic communication. Annika was recently hailed as one of the 125 most powerful women in Sweden, and she will now share her insights on creating diverse workplaces, personal stories, and lessons from around the world. Stage is all yours.
So good evening all. Really impressed by all the discussions this evening. The commitment and engagement of the whole community. I really think that is something, a lot of good advice and tools that I can take back to Sweden as well. I have the privilege to be a board member of Truecaller, which is, as you understand, a purpose and value-driven company. And this shows also this evening today that it truly is that. I'm going to today to share my views, perspective on diversity, inclusion, and women empowerment. Because that is also very much part of Truecaller's DNA, but also what I'm interested in and working for. And my background, I'm a lawyer, and I work mainly now in boards, but I also work for authorities and have managerial positions. And it really is a privilege for me that I can, through my board work, also work with these issues. And in recent years, diversity and inclusion have climbed up on the top of the agendas of boards of directors all over the world. And this is because companies want to build good working places. It is simply a must-do nowadays to be an attractive employer, of course, but also, as you know, as you understand, for the business and to be really value-driven and purpose-driven. I think it's very good for business as well. And well, I was introduced by saying that that I am a woman of power. Well, that may be, but I was thinking about what has shaped me. What is it that has done that I have come to these positions, have been able to come so far? What has shaped me, and I would say also has shaped Truecaller as well, of course, is I have been brought up by Nordic values. In the Nordics, we believe in the equal value of people and in democracy. And I understood already from a young age that everyone has the same opportunities, regardless of gender or social background. And that is, the respect for the individual in the Nordic countries is very high. In the Nordic countries, I grew up in Finland, but this is true for all the Nordic countries. The education system is free, of very good quality. We are encouraged to go to college and to university. These are also free, maybe not, but heavily subsidized, almost free. And we are encouraged to participate in work life. And I think it's really important. I find that knowledge is power and education is empowerment. Also in the Nordics, I would like to mention that our governments have been very good in setting family-friendly policies that, for example, offer free full daycare, childcare, and encourage parents to share parental leave. And so nowadays, you can see also a lot of men in our countries pushing the pram in the park. You know, that has been a huge change during my lifetime. But this means that women can then participate also and continue with their career. And it really does help to combine, for women to combine home and career. And one can say that having a career has become the new normal. Today in Sweden, there was one study said that the percentage of women in the working age that are in the workforce is 78.6. That's really high. And we see it on all levels. Female representation on listed company boards is also quite high. It's depending on the size of the companies, but for listed companies, the biggest listed companies, it's around 40%. However, there is still much work to do. Percentage of women in senior executive roles is just about 17%. And that is same also in India. It's a low number for that. And why is that? It's the social norms, I would say. And as one panelist today pointed out quite well, it's not the women who need support to have a career in a company. It is the bosses who need this retraining in how they think. And I think we need a change in how we look at women as workforce. We are equal in all the sense. Workplace diversity in India. Historically, women in India have faced multiple hurdles in having equal access to public spaces. And this is, of course, a prerequisite to be able to join the workforce. And societal prejudice, hostile behavior by bad actors, lack of state support, and lack of tools to get urgent help to report harassment and abuse have been major problems. Thankfully, things are changing here also, slowly but surely. But as I heard today as well, diversity and inclusion seems to get greater and greater prominence for companies in India. And a lot of authorities are introducing legislation to create that. And I think that is the way to do it. As I said, I'm a lawyer, I'm a rules and regulations person. I really think that by regulation you can create transparency and trust in systems. At Truecaller, we believe that harassment and abuse, that they are major barriers to women participating in the workforce. It's only about 20% of women in the working ages of 15 to 59 years that are part of the labor force. This is official figures. Also in the majority of women, working women, not in the formal organized sector, that's 90% are estimated to working women are estimated to work in the informal sector. There also, for them, issues of harassment, abuse are even more acute because they don't know where to turn to. They don't have the ability and lack access to basic mean of redressal. And we know at Truecaller that harassment of women takes many forms. And one of the most common ways today is through mobile phones, or maybe it's the most common. And we have conducted surveys to understand this problem, and we have heard a little bit about it today already, but there was a survey in 2020 that revealed that 8 out of 10 women receive unwanted communication, such as harassment and nuisance calls in India, and 1 out of 5 women receive sexual and inappropriate calls. Looking at the surveys, it's obvious that campaigns such as "It's Not Okay" and "Call It Out" are very much needed. And I am proud and privileged to be able to be part of this. What we also need are role models. What I took from the discussion today, we have discussed a lot of the roles of mothers, and so it's the same for me as well. My mother was a big role model for me. She was an entrepreneur in a very male-dominated industry, and she was a trailblazer. And for me, I was very proud of what she did. And she said to me that I can become, Annika, you can become what you want. You can become the first female president of Finland if you want to. Well, another person already did that, so I can't do that anymore. But just that she said that anything is possible, I think it's very, very important. So that's why it's important, I would say, that we have board representation, we have women, we have role models, we have bosses who are women, just because they are real life influencers and showing the way, and I think it's super important. To end on a more personal note, harassment is not only a problem in India, it's a global problem, unfortunately. I myself have also been a victim of harassment, really nasty cases, to be honest, but I will not give you any juicy details, but it's awful, as have most of my female friends and my daughter as well. And when we have shared these stories among ourselves, it has been very powerful in the sense that then we can share, we are not alone with the problem. What also has been mentioned today, one sometimes feels maybe it's my fault, have I done something? And there's a shame element into it. But when you share your story, you hear the other person's stories, and they have similar stories. You're not alone. It's not your fault. And one thing I have learned when we have discussed with my friends about these cases, we have actually also done something about it. If you take them, and we have taken matters to court as well. I have one such case. And to be honest, that's the only way you stop these people, that bad behavior, because, you know, he will turn to new victims. So it's really important that you call it out, I would say. So please do call it out. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Annika. All right. I think before we wrap up, we have to have something fun. We conducted a social experiment, bringing in influencers from different genres to play a party game, Never Have I Ever, but with a twist. So let's have a look.
पता नहीं क्यों कहते कुछ लोग बस गधे होते हैं मतलब उनका लड़का होना या लड़की होना आई थिंक गधा इज स्टिल अ स्वीट वर्ड हाँ मतलब आप बोल दीजिए हाँ अरे यार स्वीट है जैसा कि टाइटल पढ़ के आपको समझ में आ गया होगा कि आज हम खेलने वाले हैं नेवर हैव आई एवर वही पार्टी गेम जो आप अपने क्रश रोहित को जानने के बहाने खेलते हो और इन द प्रोसेस यू एंड अप लर्निंग रैंडम फैक्ट्स अबाउट हिज क्रश शरण्या हुआ आपके साथ मेरे साथ तो बार बार होता है नेवर हैव आई एवर सेड आई लव यू फर्स्ट अमेजिंग हर बार क्या होता है खता करती हूँ आई लव यू और आई लव यू बोल देती हूँ और फिर कुछ नहीं आता है you've been friend zoned so I have never drunk texted my partner I don't drink
I have PMS texted, so I don't know if I should drink.
I think you should drink
Like, you have ruined my life, that sort of.
So maybe have another one. Okay, gotten sad if my crush has not seen my Instagram story.
Damn!
यार ये खत्म हो गया?
I don't know, man. I feel like I'm a bit old for that now.
What do you mean?
Just been in a relationship for so long.
Stalked an ex on social media.
Drink.
उसको तो सारे दे दो शॉट्स. रोज की बात. ये तो उसको और मंगाने पड़ेंगे भाई. हाँ गाइस ऑर्डर बहुत पास में कोई है कॉफी शॉप तो से कॉफी और चाहिए होगा. I think she would just win action now. उसका भी एक ही बचा है.
But mine was PMS texting.
Yeah, I think
you were just waiting to grab the crowd.
It's very recent, guys. Received an inappropriate comment in my workplace.
Wow. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. The talent manager or whatever at the channel that I was working with was like, you know, if you want to get ahead in this career, you should get a job because you're nothing to write home about down there.
Oh man! No, they did not.
Yeah, they did. I'm telling you. And I mean, luckily I have a thick skin.
The entitlement of men in the comment section, you know, passing comments, thinking that you dressed up for them.
Yeah.
Like, आज मेरे लिए dress किया ये sexy bo, but I'm not happy. और दिखाओ bo.
I get तेरा तो नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है.
Oh yeah, I also get that.
Okay, never have I ever been catcalled on the street.
Cheers,
guys.
ये तो 8 साल से मतलब जब हम 8 साल के थे तब से हो रहा है.
In the streets like we're cattle or dogs, no legs. Like all those weird sounds they make. Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah. It's what? We'll come running to you, kya? I mean, when has that worked?
Yeah. I wish we could feel safer occupying public space. Like the sad reality is that occupying public space alone as a woman is often not a safe experience.
Yeah. My next question is, never have I ever received a rape threat.
Online, yes. Not phone, but...
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Online, but not on the phone.
Multiple times.
By the same harasser?
No, different. Because whenever a certain belief doesn't match with people and I put it out, they think it's okay to, you know, just send a rape threat. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Like, I mean, do you want to talk about it? It's okay if you don't. Like,
it's just, you get used to it. And they just feel that, you know, they can just send anything and everything just because you're a woman, you're a single mother. They just say...
No, but you're right. Like, I feel like... अजीब है ना मतलब मुझे क्या लगता है कि अगर आपके घर में चोरी हो जाए, you know, if I'm wearing a gold watch and somebody steals it, then I can go and I can complain because I'm the victim. But with a woman, if somebody sort of assaults you or, you know, rapes you or whatever, like you're always made to feel as if it's your problem and as if you did something wrong to attract that kind of attention. Like there's always so much victim shaming that happens. Never have I ever been called up by a stalker past midnight.
It's getting bitter.
It is getting bitter. And it's terrifying, no?
This happened to me when I was quite young, maybe like in 9th or 10th standard or something. And this guy kept calling on my number. I didn't know who it was, nothing, कोई शक्ल कुछ नहीं पता. And he kept calling me and I was very young, तो डांटना वाटना नहीं आता था मुझे. So my dadi was around. So she picked up the phone. क्या है? घर आना है, something like that. घर आना है, शादी करनी है. That's what he said. झाड़ू लेके मारूंगी मैं तुम्हें.
Never have I ever shared my harassment experience openly.
Yes, we all have.
I think we should just like, cheers to it, yeah. Really, well done. Because it can be incredibly hard, but I feel like the fact that more of us talk about it and we can discuss it, I feel it also empowers other young girls to women in general to just come out and talk about their experiences.
Not just tolerate quietly, right?
Yeah. Never have I ever blocked my harasser.
Oh, multiple times. Can I not drink though? I'll just keep it here.
Let's do cheers and keep it back.
Yeah,
Too much
good
coffee.
idea.
I drank. I'm allowing this change. We keep it here in the center of the table. Just keep it here.
Works. Pretend
Okay. He didn't threaten to enter my home, but he kept saying he was in a different city. He said, I want to come and meet you.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, meet me, matlab. Like, what do you mean? So, is it the same thing? I don't know. But like, yeah, we actually contacted the cops and it got whatever sorted because he would keep getting like different SIMs and keep trying to call. And then I would keep blocking the number and it was just like really crazy. Never have I ever called out the harassment when it happened.
No. I don't. So I have very strong reflexes. So every time I've been groped, I've made sure I've punched the person. I don't know. It's my hand reaches their face, and then my brain starts understanding what happened. Yeah. So it's always like, and then I'm like, then it comes,
Never have I ever filed a cybercrime complaint against phone harassers.
I have. But I'm not
we've spoken about it. I'm not drinking. Yeah.
It's just exhausting, right? Like, I should hire somebody to only report.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All day.
Don't ignore it. Don't keep silent about it.
Yeah,
That's
just
the
call it
bottom
out.
line. Like, you call it out. So, it's so strange. Like, I feel like all of us have been so open and so candid about our experiences, but actually just both of us have ended up actually reporting it. Like, I want to just ask the others, why didn't you guys go to the authorities or to the cops or report it in any way? Like, what stopped you?
I don't know. The idea of it is scary. I don't know. And I felt like maybe when I was older, I haven't. पता नहीं कि वहाँ पे जाके मैं क्या बोलूँगी और क्या होगा. जैसे होता ना कि क्या ही होगा, तुम वहाँ जाओगी तो कुछ नहीं होगा. ये बात हो जाएगी, उनको पता चल जाएगा और खत्म हो जाएगा. So probably it just didn't make that effort. I don't know.
It's like, what's the point of
What's the
going?
point?
You
Exactly.
have to go to the police station, you have to sit there, you have to say, they'll write, and then they'll call you to court to testify, all those things.
Yeah, it's
and
just-
then you're like, it's just eating up too much of my time. I have so much better
That's
things
also
to do.
one
Yeah,
thing.
that sort of thing. Like, I don't have the time, then I have the court appointments, then all of that stuff. And it just sort of scares you that you have to do so. It just sounds so overwhelming.
It's a overwhelming, intimidating scenario. Yeah. तो उसको गाली दिया तो मुझे डर लग गया गाली देगा वो घर आ गया पैसे तो अगर ये किया मैंने उसके बाद अगर वो जेल गया छूट गया उसके बाद घर आ गया वो भी एक डर बैठा रहता है कि उल्टा ना पड़ जाए.
I think we should now start sharing more positive experiences on social media apart from the fact कि ऐसा हुआ है, but experiences where we've actually managed to deal with it by calling it out.
Yes.
And that will give courage rather than just
100%.
sharing the experience.
Do you girls know only 12% of women in India actually end up reporting?
You're saying?
Yes. That's an actual problematic number, like, because there's so much misinformation about the process, and I feel there's so much like fear.
Stigma also attached to reporting.
Also stigma.
It's like then you become defined by this event.
Yeah. Yes.
Which is why, so I wish that reporting was normalized. Instead of harassment being normalized, if reporting was normalized, you're just one more person who reported an injustice and you deserve recourse, right?
I think this has been such an incredible bunch, and thank you for sharing your stories so honestly, so candidly. I know it's quite beautiful.
I almost wished we had played the game here, all the women, and we should have had the glasses in our hands as well. Well, that was a thought-provoking film made in a fun way. Moving on, and we are almost at the closing of the conclave. In the ever-evolving digital age, the Call It Out movement aims to make online spaces safer for women and empower them to take action against harassment. We now have a message by the Honorable Minister of State for Communications, Mr. Devu Singh Chauhan.
उपस्थित गणमान्य आप सबको वंदन। मैं नेटवर्क 18 को धन्यवाद करता हूं। मैं ट्रू कॉलर को धन्यवाद करता हूं। धन्यवाद इसलिए कि पत्रकारों का काम होता है कि सच को सच कहें, चाहे कितना भी कड़वा हो। इसलिए आप सबको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। किसी भी प्रश्न का उत्तर उस प्रश्न को ठीक से समझने से ही आता है। हम लोगों को 2G से 3G तक आते आते 20 साल लगे। भारत में 4G 2016 में आया था। इस साल के अंत तक 5G आएगा और 6G रिवॉल्यूशन पाइपलाइन में है। डाटा का विस्फोट हो रहा है। भारत विश्व के साथ कदम से कदम मिलाकर चल रहा है। आज हर आम आदमी के हाथ में मोबाइल है। मोबाइल अब केवल वॉइस कॉलिंग इंस्ट्रूमेंट नहीं है। अब इसमें फिनेंशियल ऐप, डायरेक्शनल ऐप, मोबाइलाइजेशन ऐप, टाइपराइटर, वॉच, क्या क्या काम करते हैं। लोगों को मनोरंजन चाहिए तो वह भी मोबाइल से प्राप्त हो रहा है और ज्ञान चाहिए तो वह भी ऑनलाइन मिल रहा है। पर समुद्र मंथन से अमृत के साथ साथ जहर भी निकला था। इलेक्ट्रॉनिक वीमेन हैरेसमेंट ऐसा ही जहर है जो टेक्नोलॉजिकल इवोल्यूशन में प्रगति के समुद्र मंथन में निकल रहा है और समाज को, हम सबको इसे झेलना पड़ रहा है। आज हम ऐसे समय में जी रहे हैं जहां सब ऑनलाइन हो रहा है। भारत में 50 करोड़ से ज़्यादा लोग सोशल मीडिया ऐप्स का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं और हर व्यक्ति जो इन्हें इस्तेमाल करता है वह अपनी डिजिटल फुटप्रिंट नेट पर छोड़ जाता है। इसी वजह से अगर कोई किसी को परेशान करना चाहे तो आसानी से कर सकता है और कर रहा है। ऑनलाइन विमेन हैरेसमेंट मुख्य रूप से 3 प्रकार से होते हैं। पहला बदनामी करना, दूसरा ब्लैकमेल करना और तीसरा हैरेसमेंट है बिना चाहे अश्लील मैसेज भेजना। आज फ़ोटो एडिटिंग और वीडियो एडिटिंग ऐप बहुत ही आसानी से उपलब्ध हैं। इससे किसी के भी चित्र का दुरुपयोग कर इंटरनेट पर वायरल किया जाता है। उसी फ़ोटो का इस्तेमाल करके उन्हें सामाजिक रूप से बदनाम किया जा सकता है। किसी की भी अंतरंग पलों की तस्वीर ली जा सकती है क्योंकि क्लोज सर्किट कैमरा कई जगह पर है और हर हाथ में मोबाइल है। तस्वीर असली है या नकली ये बात समझ में आए इससे पहले लाखों लोगों के हाथ में पहुंच जाती है। जैसे मीडिया ट्रायल होते हैं वैसे अब सोशल मीडिया ट्रायल भी शुरू हो गए हैं और इससे महिलाओं का जीवन दुश्वार हो गया है। कभी कभी महिलाओं पर दबाव इतना बढ़ जाता है कि मामला आत्महत्या तक पहुंच जाता है। कुछ लोग किसी के भी अंतरंग क्षणों का वीडियो बनाकर इसे वायरल नहीं करते परंतु महिला को दिखाकर उन्हें बदनाम करने की धमकी देकर मनमानी कीमत वसूलते हैं। आज यदि किसी अनजान के हाथ में आपका नंबर या सोशल मीडिया आईडी लग जाता है तब स्टॉकिंग यानी पीछा करना शुरू हो जाता है। इससे महिलाओं के निजी जीवन को गंभीर क्षति होती है और सामान्य जीवन में भी भय पैदा होने लगता है। हमने देखा है कि विशेष रूप से कोविड महामारी के दौरान और बाद में इन अपराधों में वृद्धि हुई है। जब हमारे नागरिक एक दूसरे की मदद कर रहे थे और संसाधनों को साझा कर रहे थे, लोगों ने सोशल मीडिया साइटों पर अपने फ़ोन नंबर, ईमेल, अन्य संपर्क विवरण आदि भी साझा किए, या तो मदद लेने के लिए या सहायक के रूप में स्वयं सेवा करने के लिए, एक अच्छे कारण के साथ। लेकिन इसी सूचना का दुरुपयोग अपराधियों द्वारा तंग करने वाली मानसिकता से महिलाओं को प्रताड़ित करने के लिए भी किया जा रहा है। मैं स्पष्ट रूप से कहना चाहूँगा कि आदरणीय पंत प्रधान श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की सरकार किसी भी तरह के अपराधों पर जीरो टॉलरेंस की नीति रखती है, और जब महिलाओं के खिलाफ अपराध की बात आती है तो डिजिटल या शारीरिक रूप से सरकार की बहुत सख्त नीति है। यह वही सरकार है जिसने महिलाओं के अधिकारों के लिए लड़ाई लड़ी और विरोध के बावजूद ट्रिपल तलाक एक्ट पारित किया। भारत सरकार अपने सभी नागरिकों, विशेषकर महिलाओं की सुरक्षा और सम्मान को सुनिश्चित करने के लिए पूरी तरह से प्रतिबद्ध है। मैं आपको विश्वास दिलाता हूं कि मोदी जी की सरकार हर अपराधी और कानून तोड़ने वाले को सजा दिलाने के लिए प्रतिबद्ध है। हमारी सरकार ने महिला सशक्तिकरण के लिए कई कदम उठाए हैं। डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ट्रांसफ़र के माध्यम से महिलाओं को आर्थिक अधिकार दिलवाया है, और घरों को उनके नाम करने से हमने उन्हें सामाजिक अधिकार दिलवाए हैं, और जो टैक्स में भी उनको बचत होती है। हम एक सरकार के साथ साथ एक राजनीतिक दल और समाज सुधारों के रूप में अपनी जिम्मेदारियों से कभी नहीं कतराते हैं, और हम हमेशा समाज में प्रगतिशील परिवर्तन लाने के लिए प्रतिबद्ध हैं। इसलिए यह उचित समय है कि हम भारतवासी अपनी माताओं और बेटियों को कहें कि हम मजबूती से तुम्हारे साथ खड़े हैं। आप बेखौफ रहो, संपूर्ण राष्ट्र आपको दृढ़ समर्थन करता है। हैरेसमेंट हो रहा है, इट्स नॉट ओके। हमारे पास आईपीसी के साथ साथ आईटी एक्ट है, हमारे पास राष्ट्रीय महिला आयोग है जो महिलाओं पर होने वाले अपराधों के लिए एक शिकायत मंच है, जहां शिकायतें ऑनलाइन दर्ज की जा सकती हैं। साइबर अपराध विभाग के अंतर्गत ऑनलाइन शिकायतें दर्ज की जा सकती हैं, जहां आप अपनी पहचान के साथ और गुमनाम रूप से भी शिकायत दर्ज कर सकते हैं। इसके अतिरिक्त सभी सरकारें नीति के एक भाग के रूप में संबंधित राज्यों के पुलिस विभाग में विशेष महिला विंग बना रही हैं। इतना ही नहीं है, मुझे ये कहते हुए गर्व हो रहा है कि ये सुनिश्चित करने के लिए कानून में प्रभावी रूप से संशोधन भी हो रहा है। देश में महिलाओं की सुरक्षा को बढ़ाने के लिए सरकार ने कई उपाय शुरू किए हैं। हमारे दूरसंचार विभाग ने सभी राज्यों व केंद्र शासित प्रदेशों को शॉर्ट कोड 181 आवंटित किया है, जिसका उपयोग कुछ राज्यों व केंद्र शासित प्रदेशों जैसे गुजरात, महाराष्ट्र, हरियाणा, दिल्ली, उत्तर प्रदेश और कई अन्य महिला हेल्पलाइन के रूप में किया जा रहा है। मैं एनजीओ, स्कूलों, कॉलेजों, विश्वविद्यालयों, महिला समूहों जैसे सभी मंचों से अनुरोध करना चाहता हूं कि वे इस मुद्दे पर विभिन्न कार्यशालाओं के माध्यम से बड़े पैमाने पर विभिन्न महिला समूहों और समाज के बीच जागरूकता फैलाएं। उन्हें शिकायत दर्ज करने के बाद उनके निवारण के उदाहरण भी दें। इससे महिलाओं की इच्छा शक्ति मजबूत होगी और साथ ही ऐसे अपराध करने वाले लोग 100 बार सोचेंगे। चिंताओं के प्रमुख कारणों में से एक जिसे हमें संबोधित करने की आवश्यकता है वह है हमारे समाज की मानसिकता जो महिलाओं को लक्षित करती है। आइए हम सब पर्याप्त जागरूकता पैदा करें ताकि पीड़ितों को आगे बढ़ने और खुलकर बोलने के लिए अधिक से अधिक प्रोत्साहित करें। बदलाव आते आते समय लगता है, पर आज का कार्यक्रम बदलाव की तरफ पहला कदम है। मैं आयोजकों का अभिनंदन करता हूँ। मैं पुनः एक बार नेटवर्क 18 और ट्रू कॉलर का इस कार्यक्रम के लिए धन्यवाद करता हूँ। इट्स नॉट ओके टू हैरेस वुमन एंड it's not okay to not speak up. Join the fight against women's harassment. Call it out. Thanks.
And that was the Honorable Minister of State for Communications emphasizing the need for a mindset change in the society. On that powerful note, we come to the end of Network 18 and Truecaller's Call It Out Conclave. I would like to thank all the dignitaries, honorable ministers, policymakers and law enforcers, social activists, lawyers, influencers, mental health experts, and other leading voices from diverse fields who have joined our fight against harassment. And thank you all for being such a wonderful, patient audience. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to stand united against harassment and become the change we want to see in the world. Call it out because it's not okay. Thank you once again. And I would now request everyone to join us for dinner.